Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may are. Welcome to yet another episode of Mattitude, the ESC United live stream where we talk about, you guessed it right, Eurovision. And it is another special episode. I have so many of my dear friends here with me. If you were here yesterday, you already met Philip and Roy. And tonight I have the privilege of welcoming Sean once again to our
Hello.
circle. How are you holding up, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. Bit tired today, but probably that's because I was in Amsterdam last week and I've not caught up with it fully yet. So
Really?
we'll
You're
we'll
still
roll with it. We'll roll with it.
still struggling?
Yeah. Well, you know how it is with Eurovision. It's quite tiring,
It
but fun, but
Yes,
tiring.
yes. So maybe it's almost good that we only have a week of Eurovision this year, really. Well, it's a little bit more than that, but in terms
We
of
can stretch it out. Be fine.
we can stretch it out. We'll make it work. So hello everyone in the chat, of course. Thank you for joining us today. And this is now the fourth and final episode of our ESC United jury, formerly known as expert panel, but people didn't get the joke, so I dropped that. So we are actually going to review all 37 songs, and we are then discussing them, share our scores, and at the very end, you get to vote as well. And I'll explain that in just a second. As said, we already had 3 sessions, 28 songs reviewed so far. That means we have 9 more to go, and we're here to do that. Take them apart, kindly, of course, hopefully, and then share our scores. This is always often a lot of personal opinion and subjective. We have nothing but love and respect for all artists, so don't take it to heart if we may not jive as much with your favorite, or vice versa. So that's what it is. And before we get started, I'm going to show you also the scoreboard in just a moment of the 28 songs that we've reviewed so far. Before I do that, everyone watching right now or watching it later, please do me a favor, click the like button right now to help us out in the algorithm. That is huge for us as well. And when you're done, come back later or go to other videos and comment on it just to help us out here on YouTube. That's the biggest thing. Of course, you can always become a supporter as well by either doing super chats or becoming a supporter on YouTube. But this is free, and it goes a long way. So we highly appreciate that. With no further ado, let me just bring up yesterday's results. We're going to start at the bottom first. And look away from Ireland. That one was just at the last country reviewed. That's why it's highlighted. No other reason. But currently, Poland is in last place with 3.75. Romania, 4.93. Switzerland, 5.20. I'm not going for all of them. And then you see Ireland, Greece, etc. Sean, since you just finding out about this, basically, because you went around the past few episodes, biggest surprise here, anything?
Denmark's robbed. I don't know why people don't like Denmark this year. I think it's a really solid pop song. Maybe it's the vocals or something. I don't know. I haven't been privy to what the conversations were, but yeah, Denmark seems very low for me. And I think people will be sleeping on it as well in Liverpool. I really do think that's. I've seen people say it might not qualify. I do think it's got every chance of qualifying. In fact, it's probably one of the more sure ones for me. So I'm surprised by that. Ireland is, I can make a case for it being a bit higher, but I understand. I do personally like Greece as well. But yeah, the rest of it seems pretty fair. Other than that, to me.
We do agree with everything you just said, which is unfortunate, but that is all right. There's plenty of disagreement coming, I know already. So let's just keep moving up here. Mid-table, as of right now, Malta 11th, down to Cyprus 20th place. Everyone in the chat, just take it in if you weren't there around. Once again, since Philip and Roy, you've already seen it. Once again, back to you, Sean. Any other surprises?
You're getting your money's worth out of me tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, basically, since I have you just keep talking. There's one thing I want to point out before you talk. There's one little error on the scoreboard that will be fixed going forward. At some point, I fix it later. I don't know at what point I fix it, but at some point I did fix it. The Netherlands, it's a 6.60, not a 3.0. So it's the right position, just slightly the wrong score. At some point, it will be fixed. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this is kind of your mid-range of entries where some people absolutely love them, some people dislike them, don't vibe with them, or what have you. So I can kind of understand why these are here. I'm pleasantly surprised Malta is as high because I know a lot of people have kind of written that one off as well. Again, it's one of the ones that I really enjoy this year. So don't write Malta off. Again, same with Denmark.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I once again agree with you. This is getting really old. And then the top here right now, maybe a surprise. Austria currently our number one, 8.34. Sweden, 8.30. It's close, but Austria took the cake in this one, and Slovenia third, etc., etc. Well, guess what, Sean? Got to go back to you one more time, and then I finally talk to the rest of them as well.
Is anyone else going to speak?
No, it's mostly just you today. Now, go ahead. Any other thoughts?
I'm really pleased with Australia's position. I think it's one of the best songs this year. I'm so happy Voyager are back, and that they got given. Oh, is everything all right?
Yeah.
We dropped something. So I'm really glad that they're back, because I thought I'll be honest, I thought they deserved to win last year and go to Turin. But I'm very happy with them at the top. I love Austria to bits as well. It's so irritatingly catchy for me. So I'm not surprised to see it as high up, and I think it could potentially be a dark horse in May. Who knows?
Who knows? Certainly our team feels that way. Keep in mind, this is just the ESC United jury. We'll also have the, call it the televote, but our viewer vote that's coming in as well. And how it works, as I promised to explain, those who don't know, I do have a link in the description box to all 9 countries that we're going to review. And all you need to do is click on them and give it your score. As always, 10 is amazing, amazing, amazing. And number 1 is I'm out of here. Right? It's just the opposite, basically. So, and then give anything in between. Give it what you think is right, not to counter what we're doing. It should be a reflective of your personal taste. So we'll go from one by one, and then we'll talk about them. Of course, people in the chat, you can always ask questions. And once we've given our scores, a look at the team scores, I will answer. Look at some of your comments, and also then, answer your questions in between. So with no further ado, I think we can jump right into this. And again, this order was completely random. And for today, our first country on the list is Estonia. And get ready for some champagne. Bust out the champagne, because Estonia is about to hit a major, major milestone. Next year marks the 30th anniversary of the debut at the contest. Since they took prize with their iconic victory in 2001. But the wait for another win may be over soon. Maybe not. I don't know. But with rising star Alika leading the charge for Estonia at Eurovision this year, and after dominating the Estonian music scene with Bridges, now snagging the top spot at Eesti Laul, Alika, I should say, is poised to take on the competition in Liverpool and show the world what Estonian talents are made of. And with all eyes on her, there's no doubt that Alika will rise to the occasion. I have all the faith in her and make her country proud. So let's talk about the song and see where we fall before we give our score. And I don't mean to be a ballad buster, for the lack of a better word, but Estonia's entry this year, it didn't hit the right fields for me like I was hoping. And to be fair, I have a big issue with a lot of ballads this year, that I just can't get into them. And don't get me wrong, Alika's voice is like an angel on steroids. It's just something so nice and clear about her tone. And the song is well written, but it's just missing that special sauce for me. I guess that's just the best way to describe it. It's like eating a sandwich with no condiments. Like, sure, it's still a sandwich, but it's just not as exciting, I guess. And I'll probably still give this credit where it's due. It's just not my jam this year. And I'm just talking food right now, am I not? Sorry, Estonia, you can't win them all, I guess. I'm still convinced, though, despite my personal thoughts, that this will fly through to the grand final, where the juries will be just on standby to give this a respectable position. So despite my personal indifference, I can still honestly acknowledge the effort here. I just wish I was more into it, I guess. So that's where I fall. Sean, where do you fall?
Oh, come on. Me
What?
again.
Yeah, somebody has to. Well, yeah.
I guess you're making up for lost time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, people who've been following this for a few years and has seen my thoughts on a lot of the entries over the years, that people know I'm not a massive ballad lover, and it's not going to be a surprise to say as well that this is also a song that isn't really vibing with me. I will say that obviously she's a wonderful performer, such a talent, and her vocals are probably amongst the best this year, and I think that's going to help her out. Obviously, if and when potentially they get to the final, I think the juries are going to lap that up. There's a real lack of ballads this year, which I think is going to help this song as well, because it's going to get less lost in the haze, and it might be a nice sort of way to slow things down in quite hectic semi-finals, so it might work in its favor. But musically, for me, it just it doesn't stir any of the emotions that it probably would for other people, and I can understand that. It's nothing musically interesting for me to sort of really sink my teeth into, so I just kind of, I don't know, it passes me by a little bit, that's all.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
We're agreeing a lot.
Okay, it's gonna change. Trust me, it's going to change. Philip, go ahead.
I'm going to agree with you all as well. This is certainly one of the songs competing in Eurovision this year. Am I right? The song is just the typical kind of ballad. I can't quite pinpoint. It just feels a bit off to me. I get her very distinctive vocals and that kind of stuff, but they just don't feel like they hit me the same way as other songs do. It's just a bit. It's just a bit boring. I won't really search it out. I do like the piano and the whole build up throughout the song. It does work quite well, but I just don't find myself seeking it out. Funnily enough, my favorite part of the song is actually the bridge of bridges. I do find it quite all right. It's kind of like, it feels like the crescendo of the entire song, but I do see this maybe struggling a bit, especially in the semi-final, because this feels like a bit of a jury pleaser to me.
That's fair. That's fair. How about you, Roy? You got something more?
I mean, you guys basically covered quite a lot of it. She's an amazing vocalist, and I think that is the biggest selling point of this song. It's also well orchestrated, but there is a bit of a disconnect with the feelings that we're supposed to feel. And I feel like that issue kind of lies with the lyrics. I think it is such a random idea that you sit there on a table, be like, whoa, we're going to write a ballad. It's going to be cool for Eurovision. She has an amazing voice. What will be our main word? Bridges. I just think it lacks so much emotional value. It's just such a plain word that I don't know what to feel with saying bridges. Like, I know it's about building bridges or something, I guess. But yeah, that's a bit where it disconnects for me. I can't really fault it though. It's still a decent ballad. It's well orchestrated. She sings it well. So it's not one of the worst songs this year, but it's just leaving me a little bit cold as well. It's good. It's good.
Oh,
Nothing.
man. Okay. But keep in mind, the four of us, and there are plenty of people who voted with the ESC United jury as well. We might get overruled. But before we even get to that, let's take a look at our scores, because maybe that tells a completely different story. I said what I said. I stand by it. My points are, it's 5.5. So I cannot give it like a really bad score, because it's a very competent effort. It's just not quite, hitting me. Sean?
Like I said, it's one of those sort of middle of the pack, middle of the road songs for me. It doesn't stir any emotion one way or another with me, really. So I had to go for a 5, I'm afraid.
Okay, so it's close. Philip?
Yeah, I would agree. This is one of those songs. It's a 5 for me as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Roy?
I mean, I give it a bit more of a higher score, I guess. I think Alika really just pulls everything out of that song that she can. So I ended up giving it a 7 still.
Okay, so maybe that will be also reflected in the team score. I will bring that up here right now. Again, it's more than just the four of us. And any thoughts, comments in the chat, as always, at ESC United. But first, let me bring up the score for Estonia. And here we go. Estonia got 5.95 overall, 22nd out of 29 songs so far. So, Roy, you technically gave it, not technically, you did give it the highest score out of the four of us. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is pretty much what you would expect. I expected people to be around the 6 area, kind of. Like, I feel like everyone kind of realizes, oh, she's a good singer. It's a decently orchestrated song, but it just doesn't light anyone's fire. Like, I've not really seen many people really, really rooting for it and really loving it. So it makes sense that it's a bit towards the lower end of the spectrum. Maybe expected it a tad bit higher, but yeah, this is all right.
Do you agree, Philip?
Yeah, it's just around there for me. I also agree that Denmark should probably be a bit higher, and Greece as well. But it looks around, for me, it's around the right spot for me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 5.95 is where Estonia ends up in our ranking. And as I mentioned before, you can still change the outcome a little bit if you want to vote in our poll, if you think it deserves more, or if this is about right, whatever you may think, go in there and vote. It'll stay open for a little bit more than 24 hours, I think, and then I need the results. That is, let's take a look here. Junatin says, I found Bridges quite personal song for me, so it's 8 to 10. And I think that is a fair summary. I think when it hits, I think the song really needs to hit you. And what the four of us said, I think it didn't like necessarily hit us emotionally, but I can completely see a world where people are like, this touched me, this worked for me. So it's probably more of a hit or miss. So I completely see where people would like it. And again, it's not really a bad song. Next question. Don't you think Estonia will be forgotten in the semi by the televotes? They will be performing as number 4. Sean, I mentioned earlier that I'm very confident about Estonia's qualification. Do you think there is something to it that Estonia actually could potentially struggle, despite, what we said?
I mean, they're in the second semi-final, right? So it's that semi-final is a lot harder to call. I think there's a number of ways that could go, and it just comes down to how the people perform on the night and how people, click with songs, I suppose. I think, like I say, the fact that there's not many ballads this year might help because there'll be ballad lovers that will want to vote for this. But televote only, it is tough. It's tough for songs like this to make it through and get that connection, unfortunately. So
and on top of it, there are no juries. This definitely has a lot more like, okay, I can see the juries. That's why I said if it goes through the semis, I feel as this has a really good shot being in the jury's top 10. But it has to get there first. That is the problem. Yeah. So we shall see. So that's all we got. I think we should then move on to the next country on our list. There's plenty to talk about. And that one is Azerbaijan. And at the crossroads of Eastern Europe and Western Asia, there's Azerbaijan. And they have been taking Eurovision, the world of Eurovision, by storm, despite being a relative newcomer to the contest. This mighty country has already made a huge impact in just 15 short years since the debut in 2008, with a stunning victory in 2011 thanks to the unforgettable hit Running Scared. Azerbaijan has been a force to be reckoned with on the Eurovision stage, and this year they are shaking things up even more with their very exciting pick for an internal selection. It's Tural X, the twins. And what really sets their entry apart, to be fair, is that for the first time in many ages, their song was written by local artists raised by them instead of a big name international songwriting team. And it's a bold move. Hopefully it'll pay off for them. We shall see. Tell me more, delivering the heart and soul of Azerbaijan's rich musical heritage, or does it? That is the question. So get ready to sing along, hopefully, to Tural X's entry, and we're here to talk about it and see if they made the right choice. Is it working or not? Roy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't know. This one was not really on my radar when it came out. I was just like, oh, okay, it's all right. But just every single time it comes on shuffle and it just starts playing, I just find myself having a really good time listening to this song, and I just kind of sing along to it a little bit here and there. And it's not one of the ones that's going to be a front runner. It's not going to be one of those songs that's really going to do a lot of things in Eurovision, I think. But as a song, it's just very nice, very good to listen to, very nice for a Sunday morning. You just chill there. And I just really quite enjoy it. I think it's a nice bridge between having electronic kind of rock influences towards the second half and a bit of a rap verse in there as well. I think it kind of comes together decently. And I think maybe people are sleeping on it a little bit, although maybe it's a bit too unimpactful for Eurovision. But hey, it's decent.
All right, we're off to a decent start here. Philip, your thoughts?
Yeah, this song has got very much a nothing reception from most of the community, as far as I see. I get it. It's not really a song that'll bring the most excitement to people, but I feel like it's like the perfect song for like a movie or something. I like it a lot. I can see the very clear Beatles inspiration, the like late 90s, early like the late 90s kind of pop rock tune. they're kind of likable, and I feel like the live performance kind of writes itself. But I'm not sure if that performance is going to be enough to reach the final. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. And please don't come at me, Azerbaijan. We just got to be honest. It is this thing. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride for me. Like some unexpected drops. 1 minute we're cruising along with some like nice, calm vibes in the beginning, and then bam, here's some rap, and that leaves me completely dizzy. Actually, it's like. So the last minute of the song is my favorite part. That is really, really good. It's just a little too late at that point. And as you pointed out correctly, Philip, it's very, in some ways, British with a bit of the Beatles vibe that I picked up on it immediately as well. It's just the messiness of the song that just doesn't make it come together in the end. And I don't know what the thought, maybe it was, I don't know, if it's because the lack of experience. I don't know. I'm just thrilled, though, they decided not to outsource the songwriters, as I mentioned earlier. So I hope my personal opinion will not deter the broadcaster from sending local talent and local sounds in the future. So I'm really worried about that. I just don't think it's competitive enough. And that is my issue, especially in the first semi. And the biggest issue is that it's also a bit forgettable for that reason. And I will say, though, despite my criticisms, it's not even close to Azerbaijan's worst efforts that they've had. They had some stinkers in the past. I'm not going to lie. This may not be the most amazing piece. It's innocent and cute. But again, I just don't think this is it. Sean.
It might not be a surprise for you to know that I absolutely love this song. I sort of more agree with Roy about the fact that yes, in an environment like this, it might not be that competitive. But I like this from the get-go, and it's just grown and grown and grown on me from there. It's got a real repeat factor to this for me. Maybe it's because I'm British and this just sounds so British, and it's just like Philip said, very mid to late 90s Britpop type sound. So I think the Brits will really appreciate that. It's a bit strange to have that coming from Azerbaijan of all places, but I ain't going to complain about that. Don't get me wrong. But like you said, I'm so happy that they've finally gotten rid of the reliance on Swedish writers or whoever else bringing international writers in. The beauty of Eurovision is we want to hear what these countries have to offer from their music industry. I want to hear more people from Azerbaijan, and I want to hear their language. I want to hear their culture in their music, and the right step to do that is to give them the reins on everything completely. So fair play to them for going down this route. I don't think it's going to qualify, but I've been wrong before, so hopefully it does, from my personal opinion. If it doesn't, I hope that Azerbaijan aren't discouraged from doing this kind of approach in the future.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern as well. So let's have our fingers crossed. Let's take a look at the scores and see where we fall. Roy, what did you give the song?
Yeah, I just managed to enjoy the song more and more, like I said, and I just think it's decent. It's solid. So I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, that is not bad at all.
No.
Philip.
I am very much around the same sort of area. I like the song a lot. It's quite fun, and it's also a 7 for me.
Why am I the mean one here? I'm not even that mean. I would like it even better if it was a little bit more coherent. But I'm giving it a 5.5. So a little less. I know. Sean.
I give this a very, very solid 8. This is one of my favorites this year, which sort of came from left field for me because I didn't know what to expect from Azerbaijan this year. So very pleasantly surprised. Keep it up.
Oh, mine. Am I not going to be overruled by the team? Let's find out. The team overall score, not just the fourth, but everyone on Team United, and then everyone in the chat, make sure that you share your thoughts, questions, so we can address them. 5.63, 24th place. And it's a little bit closer, I guess, to my score, because I get a 5. So I was pretty close with my 5.5, actually. Quite representative of the team's opinion overall. Certainly not a bottom 5, according to us. Philip, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it was kind of expected, but yeah, it's just more of a guilty pleasure, I think, than anything. I don't know how well it will do, but yeah, it seems about right with 24 as what I would have thought in the beginning. Yeah.
Roy, you see it the same way, or you thought this was actually going to be higher or lower?
Yeah, I thought that this would be kind of the range it would go, like between 6 and 5.5. I think that makes quite a bit of sense. It's just, it hasn't really gotten much hype from many people, so I figured it wouldn't get that high of a score. So, yeah.
See, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I mean that in a condescending way, because I was worried, based on a lot of the feedback, that Azerbaijan could be in our bottom 5 of Team United. Clearly, that's not the case. So there is a little bit more support out there than, yes, you make a case 5.63 compared to some of the competitors. It's not that high, but it could have been much worse considering when you look at some of the other rankings. Plus, we still have a few more songs to go. So, it could even end up a little higher even, or like other songs lower, I should say. So we shall see how that is going to pan out. So let me see. Everyone is talking about some other countries here right now. So I will move on then, I guess, because that's all they want to talk about. Let me bring that up here real quick. You guys make me jump around. So, one thing I need to make sure you still vote for Azerbaijan below and give it a score, because we need to know what score the ESC United viewers are going to give it in. You have a say. Next up on our list is, who do we have? Oh, yes, it is Finland. And hold on to your hats, Eurovision fans. Things are heating up everywhere in Europe and in Finland specifically. The country's beloved national final, UMK, has been a staple of the competition now for years. And this year, it's delivering all the goods like never before. The winner, the flamboyant and unforgettable Karja, stole the show with his one-of-a-kind song, Cha Cha Cha. And he's not shy about acknowledging the unique nature of his victory. As he put it, UMK has never seen a song or performance like this before. You can go far even if you're not the most skilled singer or rapper. Hey, let's be real though. Don't sell yourself short, Karja. Your talent is undeniable, and it's not just riding on novelty, of course, with Cha 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 currently sitting pretty in second place in the betting odds. Now, the real question is, though, will it take our top spots or somewhere else? Second place, lower? Is it too controversial? So let's ready to Cha 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 into our comments. And I thought you should go first since I'm already talking so much. And how am I going to put this? Cha 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 really sounds like that kind of song that question our sanity and our taste in music sometimes. I mean, is it a parody? Is it serious? Is it metal or is it Schlager? And it's like a musical identity crisis, but in the best way possible. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that it demands our attention and leaves us mesmerized, I think it's both impressive and a little concerning at the same time. It's just so weird. People shouldn't like this. There's something about it. But hey, isn't that what Eurovision is all about in my book? Taking risks, pushing boundaries, and the song certainly does that here. So Finland, you may not win the contest because I'm so worried about the juries on this one, but you definitely won over my heart. And with that unforgettable, I call it a masterpiece, actually. I will go that far. I'm already imagining the Eurovision parties everywhere where we all be screaming Cha 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 in Liverpool at the top of our lungs and dancing like maniacs. Who needs therapy when you have music like that? It just makes you just so happy when it's on. I'm deeply in love with the song, Finland. My fingers, toes, eyes, everything is crossed. Anything you can cross, I will cross for you. This song will be in the Eurovision history books, regardless of the outcome. And I live for moments like this and songs like this. So, Finland, we're not worthy. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I should just stop because I just keep raving. Roy.
I absolutely hate this. No, of course I don't. This song, when it came out for the first time, I kid you not, there were about 18 or 20 people telling me to listen to this song because it would be right on my alley. But I had to wait because I wanted to record a video reacting to all of the songs in one go. So it was the toughest thing I've done in a very long time. And I wasn't disappointed when I heard it for the first time either. It is such a banger. Like, how can you even describe this? The chorus is so catchy. He is so charismatic. All of the things come together so nicely. I love the switch up in the second half of the song. I know a lot of people are like, oh, go with either of the two. No, I think it balances out perfectly. It's just a nice way to start off incredibly energetic, then go a bit lower and just like end it on a nice little smile. The performance could like maybe get a little bit of a tweak here and there and just a bit of a polish. But I think Finland is up for a great result with this song, and I am super stoked. And yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it.
Oh. So far, so good. Philip.
Yeah. First of all, how great was that Finnish national final? I thought it was very high quality. Many great songs that would have taken
Every
over the one we chose in Denmark. But yeah, and then still, this song was the clear winner and deserved to be the clear winner. And I just like the mix of rap and techno and electric influences and rock influences and metal influence. It's just very it's a blend of everything, and it's just this weird but catchy song this year. It's that song that was needed this year. If they get the staging right, I see it being a real contender. I'm a big fan of this one.
Okay. Sean, you gonna descend or?
Before I get onto this song, I just want to say I love Finland in Eurovision, just in general. Like, honestly, I wish every country was like Finland, because consistently, at least for a decade now, if not more, banger after banger after banger. So many good songs coming from Finland. They really have nailed it with UMK, and I can only see it going from strength to strength from here. There's such a wealth of talent in that country. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. This song though, oh my god, like this is just like, I think you said it right, Matt, when you said this is a masterpiece. I don't know how the hell he's come up with this. I literally cannot work out the thought process with this song, but it works so well, and it's just so arresting from the first moment you see it. The change up is brilliant. The way that it just jumps back and forth between genres and styles is just incredible. It's musical whiplash, but it's quite enjoyable, you know, all the same. He is a wonderful performer. He's really charismatic. He sells this so well, and he's just such a great character. I met him in Amsterdam, and he's so down to earth and lovely. That's not why I love the song, but it's just another part of the whole package for me. My concern is, I don't know if it's valid, because I'm so shocked how well this has been received by the Eurovision community, just because I didn't think a song like this would get so much support across all kinds of, you know, fans and votes and things like that. It really surprised me. I just don't know how the public, the silent majority, as I like to call it, how are they going to react to it? Are they going to love it like we do, or are we just predisposed to stuff like that? That's my concern. Is Europe going to get it? And I really hope they do, because this deserves all the accolades. If I was to nail my colours to the mast, I really want this song to win. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it has all the hallmarks of an iconic Eurovision winner, and I think it would deserve it. So let's see what happens. I know I've probably made myself very unpopular with a lot of people watching by saying that, but, you know,
I think
I say a lot of controversial things lately, so why not?
Yeah, follow him on Twitter, and you get plenty of
Yeah,
controversy.
abuse me on Twitter. It's fine. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very good. So I assume the four of us will give it high scores. Of course, the team is united will vote as well, and I'm sure there will be, you know, as always, polarizing opinions. But let's go for this real quick. I said what I said. I basically agree with what Sean just said, and therefore I'm giving it my one and only 10 points of the year. Finland, 10 points from me. Roy.
Yeah. Look, if you want to get a 10 from me, you need to have the perfect song. And I think it is amazing. It's incredible. It's not perfect, though. So I gave it a 9.5.
How dare you? Let me kick him out. No, I'm kidding. That's a fantastic. I thought you were going to give it like a 7 or so when you started talking like that.
No.
Philip.
Yeah, I just want to say quickly, I'm sorry about the whole mic issue. I'm good at technical problems, so I just want to keep it going today. Yeah, this song is very good. It's very, very, very good. But I'm also not quite there as top of the. It's not my absolute favorite. This one is an 8.5 from me.
8.5.
That's still fantastic, Sean.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest 10 in the world to give. It really is. So I don't know how you want me to dress it up. It's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It's 10.
2 10s. That doesn't happen a whole lot. So in a 9.5 and an 8.5. So you would think this would be like, but we all know, of course, it's the four of us, and we only represent a portion of Team United. There's at least 4 times many people voting. So with no further ado, and everyone get your thoughts, questions ready. But is Finland high up in our ranking? Let me get the scoreboard. And I lost it. Oh, here you go. And Finland ends up with 9.13. Let me just say, this is the first time in the Team United history of our panel that someone broke for the 9 points. I've never seen that before. So this was not polarizing at all. So if anything, Philip, your opinion is polarizing here with the 8.5. But no, seriously, this is amazing. Sean, you must be over the moon.
I am. I'm actually quite surprised because to get an average of 9.13, there's got to be a hell of a lot of tens in there. So
mental.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I always knew we had taste as a team, so it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But yeah, that's going to be a tough score to beat. I don't know if it will be beat.
Yeah,
so, yeah, everything it deserves and more.
Roy, you're still above average with a 9.5. You're still cool.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I expected Finland to be our number one from ESC United because it just feels like the song that we would all kind of love. But 9.13, that is insanely high. Like, that literally means not a lot of people voted below like a 7 or something. And like, then still there's so many 10s and 9.5s that need to counterbalance that. Like, mental 9.13, that is insane. I love it.
Yeah, I was adding. I looked at like I clearly did the wrong average because I use Excel and then that. I'm like, no, it is absolutely correct. Let's do something. Vanya saying this song deserves such a score. I love how the fandom is united over this song. I want to add because I hear what you said earlier, Sean, about your concerns about will this work out of the Eurovision bubble, but because it works in the bubble, I'm almost more confident about it because I didn't think that a metal or like especially in the beginning metal song like that would have such a impact in the Eurovision bubble. So yes, it is a little bit visually and out of this world what you hear standard in the charts, but the fact that so many non-metal fans gravitate towards that one, and not just because of the pop part, but even like the rest, that to me was a very strong statement. So that I think that's why it's happening. Let me see. There is a question here. I understand Sean's concern and they're totally valid, but every time I show the song to casual people, they love it. At least they get it real quick. People will love this. Any of the three of you, has anyone shown the song to like family, friends that are not in the Eurovision normies, as we call them?
I mean, I'm literally doing an entire video series doing that. So that's coming out hopefully on Wednesday. And that is when Finland will be around. So keep your eyes out for that one. But yeah, I think people do get it.
Sean, you're saying something?
Yeah, I've shown it to family. They loved it. But I think Brits love the crazy side of Eurovision a lot anyway. So what I would say, and I think Gabe brought this point up at some point, I think it was Gabe, is that in the final, because let's be real, this is going to go through. In the final, if he gets an early draw, it might not have as much of an impact. But if he's later on in the show, when the casual voters and the casual viewers are wasted, it's going to go down a storm. I'm going to put it as bluntly as that. Yeah. It's a party.
They will not.
People are deep into the party. They're going to love it.
He will, even if he draws first half, they'll put him like 10 to 13th, probably like 11 to 13, something like that. So, but yeah, of course, you're right. The later, the better. Philip, have you shown the song to anyone yet? I know Danish people, at least in terms of Eurovision, although not mainstream taste, seem to have more of a well-known taste of, fun pop songs.
Yeah. I get your point. We are very Scandinavian. We like Scandinavian music. We like very middle of the road pop songs. But I've shown it to my family and my sister. But she's not the biggest fan. There's other songs, but I feel like everyone I've listened to, they get it and they get the song. And I feel like even in Denmark, that's enough. I feel like we'll give it a good score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. So, so we now have a new leader. Of course, we got a few more songs to talk about, but yeah, 9.13, hot damn.
And also, like, there's like you cannot vote against this song, so the people who love it will vote for it. And if you don't like it, well, tough luck. It's gonna do
That's
well.
the thing. I'd rather be polarizing than just liked. Because
Exactly.
liked doesn't result in votes. I'd rather be
Yeah.
loved or hated. I mean, not me personally.
Hated,
I want everyone
adored,
to
but
like me.
never ignored. That's what you want in Eurovision.
Wow,
I love
sassy
that.
poetry.
I'm getting a tattoo of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, but we'll talk at the end. We can talk more about this, but let's go for the other songs real quick here as well. We got a few more. And next up on my list, Iceland. And this tiny yet mighty full nation has probably become one of the most notable nations in the contest thanks to the Eurovision movie. And with the country's beloved national final song by Keppinen once again delivering the goods, it's no surprise that Iceland is ready to take the Eurovision world once more. This year's winner, the unstoppable Dilia, with her song Power, is already making waves, not just in her home country. The young singer first made her mark on the music world with her show-stopping performance in Iceland Got Talent back in 2015. She's 20. She's 20 now, so she was super young then. Now she's poised to take the Eurovision stage by storm, hopefully. With Power already topping the charts in Iceland, the rest of the world won't be far behind, or at least that's the hope here. Get ready. Let's talk about Dilia and Power. What do we think, Roy?
Yeah, I think Iceland didn't have the best of years with the national final this year because this was definitely the right choice. But is it the best song? I don't know. It's cool that they sent a drum and bass song. I love drum and bass. However, it is a little bit hollow, I feel, on the instrumental part. Like, I love myself some nice, fast paced beat. It's just that is only kind of it. It feels like a skeleton that Delia kind of sings on. And her singing is incredible. Her persona on that stage is incredible as well. Like, she's really charismatic. She's very chaotic in all the pre-parties so far as well. Like, I love following her TikToks and her Instagram. It's very fun. And that really comes across on the stage as well. So she really elevates a little bit of a hollow drum and bass song that could have been so much better. But yeah, she really makes it a lot better for me already. So it's okay. Not one of the best though.
Okay, Sean.
There's always a song every year that just really takes ages to sort of start clicking with me, and I think Iceland is that song this year. Like, I heard it when I didn't follow the national final, unfortunately, but I heard the song when she won, and I was like, okay, it's decent, it's fine, nothing special to me. But it's when I've been listening to the playlist and it comes on shuffle lately, all of a sudden it started working for me a little bit. It's still not as aggressive, probably isn't the right word, but I would have liked a bit more power, if you pardon the pun, in the production. Like Roy says, you know, this had real potential to be a proper heavy, meaty banger, as it were. But it just doesn't quite get there for me. But she's a performer, again, one of the best performers this year. She was incredible in Amsterdam. She's got such great energy. I think that comes across well when she performs it as well. It's elevated by being performed live. I don't know what they're going to have planned for the performance and the staging in Liverpool. So my score will kind of reflect possibly how I felt a week or so ago. But it's still not quite clicking for me. But it's getting there. I'm starting to enjoy it more.
Yeah, I agree with everything the two of you said, Roy, about especially the national final was not as strong as it could have been. And the irony that Sean pointed out, because every time I hear this song, I'm like, it's more like powerless and not than power. It's just like, it's the orchestration, just the track itself is a little bit too tame. It could have been a real good banger. I was like, add some, I don't know, a sparkly unicorn, a dancing panda, just something to spice it up. It just feels a little, maybe just pyrotechnics. That always helps, right? At Eurovision. No, it's just what I mean by this. The song doesn't have staying power in my mind. Again, no pun intended. It's cute, and that's all I can come up with. It's cute, but forgettable. And I like Delia's energy. I think you pointed that out as well, Roy. Very likable singer. There's nothing wrong with the song. It's just except forgettable. And that's what I get stuck on. It reminds me a bit of like the 2000 era in certain parts in Iceland where they had like inoffensive songs, but just couldn't get any support in the televote or, jury vote. And I'm worried that it's going to fall into the same kind of bucket. So, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on it, except cute, but forgettable. I know. Philip.
Yeah, I'll try to praise it a little bit more. I enjoy this a lot. I like Julia's voice. She has a very great voice, and I feel like it's very powerful. I enjoyed how Swedish this sounds. This is a very Swedish song to come out of come out of Iceland, in my opinion. She performs it very well, and she has some great note. She hits some insane notes live, and the studio version is also very good. It just seems like she's happy to be there, both in the final and also looking at social media and that kind of stuff. She looks like she's very happy to be at Eurovision. It's always a good little thing to think about. And just like the build up of the song, it makes me happy. It's this great power pop kind of song, and I feel like it's a certain qualifier. It needs staging, a better staging than in Iceland. That's kind of my thing. The staging was a bit off.
Okay, some more words of encouragement here coming from Philip. So let's talk about our points. Roy, what did you give Power?
Let me get my document. Yeah. Like I said, it's okay. The beat is not the best. Julia really makes it a lot better. So I kind of went a little bit in the middle, and I gave it a 6.5.
Oh dear. Okay, Sean.
I'm probably more about where Roy is now, but I gave it a 6 at the time. It's very slowly getting there, but I don't think it's gonna click well enough with me in time for Eurovision to actually give it a much higher score than that. It's good, it's competent, but I just wish there was a little bit more to it. But I think she's great, and I think she can really sell this and elevate the package.
Okay. I don't have much to add. My score kind of speaks for itself. It's just there in the middle. 5 points. 5 points for Power from me. Philip.
Yeah, I got the song right from the start, right from when they started. They translated it into English. I just thought it worked. And as a Scandinavian, I like Swedish sounding songs. This is an 8 points for me.
Okay, so kicking up a notch here. Let's see where the Team United score ends up overall. And then I'd love to hear some thoughts in the chat if you have any. Iceland, according to Team United in our ranking, ends up in 20th place, 6.72, the score overall. I'm going back to Philip as the biggest cheerleader for this one. Your thoughts? You thought it right? Were you thinking higher or lower?
I'm happy that I helped to contribute it getting up there. It deserves it. But yeah, I've not seen that much praise, especially with other Nordic countries. It's not like very much up there, but I feel like it's what I would expect. Maybe a little higher, but right around there.
Yeah. Same thoughts, Roy? Or what do you think? You're pretty close.
Yeah. I thought it would end up like around 6.5. I don't think anyone really hates this song, and I think that's quite reflective that there are some people who might like it a bit more than what we maybe had. But I think we can all appreciate Delia as an artist and her voice, and yeah, I think 6.72 was it, right? Yeah, I think it's about right.
Yeah. Looking at some of the scores here, people posting it in the chat: 6, 6.55, 3, 6.5, 4.5. So it seems like that's the range that most people have the song. So I think that is certainly quite reflective. But as always, y'all, you can vote as well. So you can still make a change. We're going to have a combined vote coming in as well at the very end. So go to the link. You can do it for Iceland or any of the other countries tonight. Vote while you can and give your score, and then we'll come adding it up. I'm championing Iceland this year. It's got such a warmth, I can't really describe it. Now, going back to you, Philip, as the biggest supporter of the song, it says, do you get the warmth from it? Or is it, what is it that really makes you, is it just because it's that Scandinavian pop sound that you are so familiar with and fond of? What is it? Do you feel that warmth?
I get a bit of warmth, but it's the power for me. It's the power of power. It's just out there. It's energy. It's very Nordic, powerful pop song. That's kind of what I feel.
Okay, fair. Do you think Iceland will qualify? Show of hands. Who thinks? I'm gonna phrase it this way: if you think Iceland, nothing is for sure, right? But is a likely qualifier from semi-2, raise your hand. No, nobody thinks. No?
I mean, I
Kinda.
see a situation where it does go through, just because semi-final 2 is a little bit harder to call. I'm not going to rule it out at all, but
I think it's around borderline, really.
Yeah, it's on the fence for me.
It's either just going to squeak through or just going to miss out, something like that.
Yeah. Philip, you more like 50-50 based on your reaction?
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm so uncertain because it's all about the staging for me. If they can get the staging to work, it's a certain qualifier. If it's more like how it was in Iceland at the final, it's a bit closer to 50-50 for me.
Okay, yeah. And the thing is, we'll get a much better feel and idea once the rehearsals kick off in about a week. So, but we only get snippets. We don't want to until the dress rehearsals, actually, the whole thing. But still, at least gives us a little bit of a vibe. So we're going to talk about it in a moment more if you'd like to, but we got to move on to the next country on our list, and that is San Marino. And San Marino, of course, is back and ready to show the world what it's made of, with a population of just like, what, 33,000. This tiny nation is the ultimate underdog, but that hasn't stopped them from becoming a fan favorite year after year. And with yet another unforgettable national final, it's clear that San Marino is hopefully poised for greatness either this year or in the years to come. This year's winner, the one-of-a-kind band Peak Jacks, with their entry Like an Animal. They're no strangers to the spotlight, of course. They have had plenty of experience, formed in Italy back in 2006. They've been making waves in the music scene for years, and now they're ready to take on the big Eurovision stage. And the hope is that they'll lead San Marino back to the grand final for the 4th time, if my math doesn't fail me. And they joined in 2008, by the way, San Marino. They're still fairly new. So let's talk about this. San Marino, what are the chances? What do we think? Sean, why don't you go first?
Right, I can't fathom why this is so stone dead last in so many fan rankings and on the scoreboard app and everywhere. It's not the world's greatest song, you know. I obviously I can understand that. However, this is, you know, it's a very, very solid and decent effort when it comes to like an indie rock kind of song. It's got a very 90s vibe to it, I think, again. And I think possibly what didn't help with people is that there was no studio version to actually really sink your teeth into until quite recently. So the studio version sort of makes this make more sense for me as well, because I can hear the instrumentation. I can hear the production of what they're actually going for. The lyrics are a little bit suspect. I understand that, but it's not the only entry this year that's got suspect lyrics. But the actual song, I really enjoy it. These guys have got a great energy when they perform it live. I'm glad that they're enjoying their Eurovision experience a bit more, because I think it was disgraceful how they were treated in Barcelona, in particular by the fans there, or a small minority of the fans, I should say, of course. So I'm glad that they're sort of embracing this journey, and it's really becoming a positive experience for them, and I'm glad about that. It's not really competitive, I don't think, this year. I think they will struggle, but it's nowhere near the stone dead last placer that I think a lot of the fans are making this out to be. I think it deserves more recognition.
Okay, Philip.
Yeah, I feel like this is a song. It's a very pleasant song, but I don't really feel like it's going anywhere. It's all around the same. The progression is almost the same throughout. The thing has a lot of charisma, and it kind of carries the song. It's very much of a nothing song to me, and it also doesn't help that San Marino sends another band. I think we've had enough bands in the competition already, and another band is probably not helping them. The thing that, as Sean mentioned, it's the lyrics. They feel a bit creepy and stalkerish, and it doesn't really present the band the best way. The chorus is like smelling someone like an animal and then chasing them on the dance floor. That's yikes.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I have any more to say about that. Yeah.
That is fair. I hear you, Roy.
Yeah, I really, really want to love this song, and I really, really tried. It's just never fully clicked, and I love rock songs, but this one is just not it. It's just the lyrics are just a bad or a bit too like plain and a bit too weird, nearly. It doesn't help, like Sean said, that we only had that live performance because the quality in the Samaroni selection is not the best, probably. Um, but it's just a bit forgettable. Like it comes on your playlist, and you're like, oh yeah, that also plays low, and you kind of sing along to it, like, and that's okay. But then you move on to the next one, and you're like, wait, whoa, this one is a bit cooler, and yeah, it's just a bit forgetful and a bit in the middle for me, and it's unfortunate because I really want to root for them, but not that much, I guess.
Yeah, your last point in particular is certainly hits the nail on the head, I think. I always say like an animal is to me like the friend that you invite to a party just to be polite and you secretly hope it won't show up. And that's how I kind of feel about the playlist. I'm like, I don't really want to listen to it a whole lot, but when it comes on, it's like, okay, it's nice that you're on. It had so many songs to choose from, and I was a bit surprised that they went with this one. The selection process was just really sus, I guess. I mean, it's not terrible, as Sean also correctly pointed out. It's not exactly setting the world on fire either, and that's, I think, the issue. It's like, I love my analogies, like a plain bagel. Sure, it's fine, but missing a little bit of something, like some cream cheese. It just doesn't stand out. And sound like a broken record. The lyrics are bizarre, stalker vibes, and I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish with some of the lines. What was it again? You have a biting tongue, and it gets me so unstrung. I'm like, this is terrible rhyming. But hey, at least the band is great, and hopefully they'll come back with something a little bit more powerful, I guess, next year or in the years to come. It's not that bad, again, y'all. It certainly does not deserve some of the dislike that's being thrown at them. Once again, Sean is right about that. It just gives me Bulgaria 22 vibes. Not necessarily, but just not compared enough, even though you have a capable act that really makes the most out of the song. It never stood a chance in the first place. And I met them in Barcelona, and they are just really good and true artists. And I'm really hoping they'll give Eurovision another shot with just a different song. Maybe pull a Valentina. So yeah, those are our thoughts. Let's talk about the points. Sean, what did you give it?
I feel like this might be towards possibly the higher end of our votes. I've given it 6.5 because I do appreciate what they're going for, and it's kind of in my. I'm like the target audience probably for this type of song because it's very sort of indie rock vibes. It's good, but it's not great, and it's not quite clicking with me as much as it probably should. So that's all I can give it.
Okay, Philip.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay. It's not all the way down. It's not unlistenable for me. It's pleasant, but not lyrics pleasant. Like the melody is pleasant and that kind of stuff. It's a 5 for me.
Okay, a 5. Roy.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but it's also not that good. It's just a bit in the middle, and like maybe a bit towards the lower end of the middle, and I gave it a 5.5 in the end.
Okay. I think y'all said it right, and I wish I could give it more because I think I mentioned earlier, I really want to like the song. On paper, this is the kind of genre music that I would like usually, but it's just not working. So, but once again, it doesn't deserve some of the comments that it's received. I gave it a 5.5. So I certainly have songs that are lower than that, than San Marino. So overall, it seems like we should expect something in the 5-point range based on our comments. We'll find out. You what?
Around a 5.5, like we had a 5, a 6.5, a 5.5, 5.5. So.
Oh yeah, that's 6.5. Yeah, that's true. Maybe Sean brings it up a little, but he knew that he was probably the more generous on this one. But yeah, I said it's not just the 4 of us. Everybody else has thoughts in the chat at ESC United. So San Marino in our ranking is 31st with exactly 5.0.
Not last, yes.
Not last, second to last. Although still don't want to look at Romania. That still makes me mad. But anyways,
Yeah, same.
yeah, it just doesn't deserve that.
No.
But yeah, so going back to it, Sean, once again, technically you're the most generous one. Mark your calendar. That doesn't happen a whole lot. What do you think about the score? Kind of what you were expecting? Are you glad it made the 5 point?
I'm glad it's not last, because, like I say, I'm fed up of seeing them last on so many rankings and things like that. It just doesn't deserve that kind of, recognition, as it were, for want of a better phrase. But I think a 5 is, slap bang in the middle. I think is pretty much where I thought it would probably be. It's just kind of, it's one of those songs that, people can kind of enjoy or they kind of dislike, but it's not like, I don't know, it's just kind of there, unfortunately. And when you've got 36 other songs to compare it to, that's possibly the issue.
Yep. I think that is a good, the way you summarized it, that makes perfect sense. All right. Then if there are no other questions, I think we should move on to the next country on our list. We're getting closer to the end, but we still got a few more. Next up is, not sure if you heard about it. It's called the United Kingdom. I know, Sean, I saw that. But no, the United Kingdom is back and better than ever, hopefully. After a stunning second-place finish last year's contest, the country is poised for even greater success in 23. At least that's what we're all rooting for, of course. This year's representative, the one and only Mae Muller, is ready to take the stage by storm with her hit I Wrote a Song. Song's cheeky title, just the beginning of its charm, with Muller's powerhouse vocals and unforgettable lyrics, capturing the hearts and fans around the world already. And with the UK hosting the contest on home turf, which is still kind of weird, but kind of awesome. There's never been a better time for a country to show off its musical prowess. So can Muller lead the UK to its first Eurovision victory in more than 2 decades? 25 years, right? And I think we should talk this through. Sean, since you are our Brit on the team, go first. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. It's weird to see the UK as the host still. I just want to get that out of the way. It's still not fully sinking. The King is literally revealing the Eurovision stage on Wednesday, and that is a sentence I never thought I'd say in my life. Probably because we had a Queen until last year. It was always going to be such a difficult and monumental task to follow Sam Ryder, because he was just such a big personality and voice, and just, really catapulted things in terms of Eurovision back to the forefront for the UK. But I think Mae Muller is a very strong candidate to follow. She's a great ambassador, I think, for the contest as well, in a different way to Sam, but then at the same time, treats it with the respect that it kind of deserves. And it's nice to see someone who's already had a bit of success represent us, but is also still relevant. Because we've had people who are successful, but it was 40 years ago before they joined and represented us. So it's nice to actually have a current artist who can go on to have a career as well, like Sam is. But it's great to see us send a song like this as well. It's something that could be, well, it already has charted here. So it could be a chart hit. I hear it on the radio all the time here, which is weird to me. But it's so catchy. She really sells herself well with this, and I think she's a great character. But the performances are getting better and better. Like, she was really good in Amsterdam, which I'm pleased about, because I was worried at first, having not heard live performance of this song. That's always the concern, especially with us. But the stars are aligning for this to hopefully be another good year for us. I think anything on the left would be wonderful. I don't think it's really going to start troubling the top 10, in all honesty, because I just think there are stronger songs, better songs, and possibly going last might work against it. I don't know. I'm hoping not. It should make it more memorable with televoters, but then people have already possibly made their mind up by then, so we'll see. It didn't work out for us in 2014, let's put it that way.
I know,
but
I was thinking
it's all of the signs are pointing in the right way for the UK, and I just hope that this is the beginning of us being competitive year after year after year. We're not gonna be top 5 every year from now on. It's not how it works. You have to put in the work and you have to lay the foundations. But I think this is one of the better choices we could have made. I personally wanted Rina, and she would have been like my #1, probably, with most of her songs. I still think there's potential that she could do it one year in the next few years, but maybe, I don't know. It might be wishful thinking. But I think May is a brilliant ambassador, great follow up. They could have really fumbled the ball with this one this year, so I'm glad that they've gone strong again.
Wonderful, wonderful. Roy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
That says it all.
No, when this came out, I wasn't necessarily super enthused. I quite liked it, and then I started to like it more and more and more. But then at some point, it started to annoy me more and more and more. It's just a bit too much like that. It just started to grain a bit on me, and this song is really, really dependent on the delivery of the text. It is so important that is literally sang perfect, and I cannot see a situation where this doesn't fall flat. And that's maybe a bit harsh, but I just don't see it coming together. It's just so dependent on delivering the text in such a rapid pace that I just feel like it will be a bit too flat, and then the other songs will get all the votes in the televote and in jury vote. It's not a bad song in a studio version. It is really not bad, and May Muller is fantastic. I just don't think UK will be anywhere near the left side of the scoreboard this year, unfortunately. But I do think they're going the right way with what kind of artists they're selecting and what kind of song they're selecting. I just don't think this is the right combination this year quite yet. But, oh well.
No, Roy. How about how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm a bit ambivalent about this one as well. I actually listened to it when they announced it on, I think it was BBC Radio 1 or 2, something like that. And I thought it was okay at the time. And it grew on me a little bit. It is like this super modern dance tune that I feel like is needed, and it is a great closer. And it is kind of like that modern pop song that some songs also fail to be. I feel this year. It feels very chronically online a little bit and a little over self-aware, but it's easy and fun to listen to. And I feel like it's great for the club scene in the UK. So we'll see about that, Sean. I feel like it's gonna do okay also, but it might be the left side of the scoreboard. I feel like it's close.
Okay. I mean, I personally, I don't really care about the results. For me, it's all I wrote a song is so catchy. Like I caught it like a cold. It just and it's like it's probably the catchiest tune of the year. It's been stuck in my head for days now. Every time what was it? A couple of days ago, I was cleaning and I kept singing it. So I told my niece, put on Baby Shark. So I need something else in my head. And it just made it worse in the end. But you know what? I'm not even that mad about it. It's just, it's a kind of song that I'll be dancing to in my car, in my shower, probably in my sleep. And if that's not a sign of a great Eurovision entry, I don't know what it is. And so thank you, UK, for finally giving us something worthy singing about. You have been missed at the contest. So the past couple of years have been great. You cannot go back to your old ways, by the way. You cannot. We know what you're capable of. And
for the love of God, don't.
I know, right? Don't. We need this at the contest. And because then I will be extra pissed. It's just good British pop music. I think it's what I've been asking for years. And that's what they got us. I think this could go really high in actually odds. On the board. But Roy has a point. It could also actually, if it's not coming together, be a flop, like the next That's Rich, that kind of thing. It's a big wild card, but I'm just judging the song based on the studio version, and I'm obsessed with it. Absolutely. This is going to be on my playlist for years to come. Brit music with sass, attitude, cheekiness, all of it. I'm a big fan. So, UK, yay. Very, 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 very happy. So, some polarizing opinions on the team here. I'm sure that will be reflected in our scores. So, let's go through them. Sean, what did you give the UK?
That's Rich was completely robbed, by the way. I just wanted to put that out there. My only other concern that I didn't think about earlier, but is very true, is that the BBC feel that it's absolutely categorically necessary every year to have a massive prop on stage. And that's also concerning. Like, it's just every year they have to spend the money on something. So God knows what they're going to do with it this year. If that house is in it from the music video, bottom 5, it's just not going to work. So I hope they've come up with something different. But the song itself, brilliant. It's really grown on me as well. I give it 8. and
Eight.
it's not through bias, because I very rarely give.
No,
the UK
you were
high
actually quite
scores,
critical
but
of Sam Ryder initially, even. I
yeah,
remember that.
I gave
So,
Sam quite low, obviously, before the whole live performance thing. So
yeah.
I think the song is definitely better than last year's. And it's probably our best song for a number of years, but doesn't always mean anything at Eurovision.
Okay. Roy.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not one of the best songs for me. I don't think it's one of the worst songs either. I don't think it will be deserving of having like an incredibly low score. So I still ended up giving it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Philip.
Yeah, I kind of rated the song as it kind of hit the peak of me liking the song. It's gone a bit down since, but I'll be all right with giving it a 7.5.
7.5. Well, I feel good about my score. I am not ashamed. I'm very proud to give the UK 9 points. It's just a fantastic song. One of my high up in my ranking this year. So the score has to reflect that accordingly. So as you can see, a little bit of variation there. So ultimately now it's going to be the 4 of us, our scores, and the rest of Team United also giving their score. So let me bring that up. And by the way, everyone, any thoughts, comments, now's your chance to post them in the chat at ESC United. For now, let me bring up the score for the UK. 7.73. Wow. The UK lands in 6th place in our ranking. Obviously, me personally, as the biggest cheerleader of those, I'm very, very happy with that. Sean, you good?
I'm pleasantly surprised with that. I'll take that all day long. If that was, if we finished 6th in Eurovision, oh my God, it'd be amazing. We're still not used to it, so hopefully it reflects in Liverpool. But yeah, seems like it has a lot of fans, so I can only be pleased about that.
Yeah, it is certainly nice to see the UK finally, at least, regardless of the outcome. Let's putting that aside, just people talk about it, because the UK wasn't like, what? Yeah, I don't even forget that. So UK ahead of Norway is a crime. Well, I happen to love them both, so I cannot really I don't agree or disagree. So I'm cool with either of them. But I know that Roy, you were a fan of Norway, so you probably would agree with that, huh?
Oh, very much so. I looked at the list and I was like, this is a bit ridiculously high, to be honest. I mean, I know it has quite a lot of fans, but I don't know. It's maybe a bit overhyped this year. I get that people like it. I get it's very poppy. Maybe I'm just a bit too much of a pop Grinch kind of person, but yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. No, it was. I was pleasantly surprised that so many people ended up liking it. There seems to be a good response to the song. So I was surprised that it became actually more of a great response. Maybe it's really just that our team just doesn't always necessarily line up with the mainstream. So it's,
say that again.
I know, right? For better or worse, it makes it more interesting also, but also we get plenty of comments. Someone saying, but Australia should have been much lower. So that, of course, Roy and Sean don't. Nobody agrees.
Absolutely
not. I think that UK is significantly better than Australia, but that is
no
again.
shot.
Yeah. What?
No shot. Like, this is the best metal song we've ever had in the competition.
It's not even a real metal song. It's like rock.
It is.
So
it's progressive metal.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah. But that's just what it is. People have these opinions. And speaking of opinions, we should take a look at our opinions on the next song, because we got 34 down, and that means 3 to go. You still got energy?
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Go for it.
All right. Well, we got an interesting one up next, because it is Croatia. And Croatia has definitely been a country to watch in Eurovision, with a rich history of impressive entries and a strong fan base. The fact that they are still waiting for the first victory only adds to the excitement and anticipation surrounding any participation. Let 3's victory at Dora this year with Mama See is definitely an interesting choice, given the provocative nature of the song's lyrics and visuals. It will be fascinating to see how their performance and message will be received by the audience, the Eurovision audience. And particularly in light of the current political events? And will the commentary, I guess, that they provide in the song on like the whole Putin and Ukrainian crisis resonate with the viewers, or will it prove to be a controversial topic and just not the right place? Either way, Croatia is definitely a country to keep an eye on this year. And Roy, where do you fall with Croatia?
I mean, people who know me for a while knows that I quite enjoy songs that are a bit WTF. And this is very much that. It is bonkers from start to finish, and you're just sat there in front of your TV with your mouth open, like, what is happening? And I think that is the power of this song. And it has a lot of haters, and I totally get it. But you can't be telling me that you weren't like, what? I'm in shock. And that is really awesome to me. I think it even has a very catchy hook, especially in the second half of the song. I think the bit in the middle where they just randomly cite out the alphabet is a bit random, but I don't know. This has a lot of cool elements that I really, really love. It's kind of the punk rock kind of we'll do whatever we want kind of attitude, and I love it. So yeah, very much on board with the Croatia train this year. I mean, tractor, not train.
Tractor. I know, right? You get it right. Philip.
Yeah, I feel like this is the most divisive song this year. Either you like it or you maybe despise it. I'm of the opinion that just because something is weird doesn't mean that it's good, and this is not good. The problem with the song is that it's not very fun. I know it's whole anti-war, and I know I'm pretty sure we're all anti-war, but I thought there must be another way to present this. There must be another way to present this. It feels a little off, and it's a little unlistenable at times. Yeah, I stand by a lot of the same things that they do, but there must be another way to present the things that they want to say. Yeah, it's not a good one for me, sadly.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone with that one. And honestly, I was expecting to hate the song like a dentist appointment at Monday morning, right? But surprisingly, it's not that bad. It's not like I'll be listening to it on repeat either. Don't get me wrong. It's not not like my ears are bleeding either, at least not all the time. The only thing bleeding though is my brain. Trying to figure out why they keep saying tractor, and I get it for when people explain it to me, but it felt like more like they're trying to be the new Despacito, just repeating it over and over again. I mean, I get it, but come on, guys, branch out a little from that word. And don't even get me started on the visuals. I thought I accidentally turned into a rural infomercial. It's just like it seems a little bit amateurish for, but hey, at least it is, you know, on at face value. A little bit of a laugh when you look at it, you know, like it seems like with the costumes and the over-the-top visuals, it's a nice break from maybe some of the more serious songs. So I want to give him credit for making us smile in some ways, even though the message is kind of the opposite. But I don't think people will get that either. And then making tractors cool again, I guess. Now, my favorite part is the counter melody part, for the lack of a better word. Like in the second chorus, and the choir comes in, you know, they sing a different melody, and they could have done that. Even better execution would have worked. So the song gets quite messy, but I will not give it a horrible score, just because I do like the daring choice, even though I'm still confused. So, Sean?
I think this is genius. I really do. You know, these guys, Let Free, they're big in Croatia, or infamous probably. They've been doing this longer than the majority of the Eurovision artists have been alive, so they know what they're doing. They know that probably being semi-controversial is going to get them some attention, but it is a televote magnet. This, I just think I can't see a situation where in a all televote semi-final it doesn't go through. People might find it, you know, weird or scary or what have you, but I think there's actually a lot of subtlety to this song as well. I think in the lyrics, I think it's very clever how it's been written. Again, it's kind of like Finland in the way that like there's a lot of elements that shouldn't work together, but they just do. And I think these guys perform it brilliantly and really sell the whole package. I can understand why people might not like how brazen some of the imagery is, but that's Let Free. That's just who they are. They're so over the top about everything. And Eurovision needs a song like this at least every year, I think. So kudos to Croatia, because they could have tried to go down the safe route to try and rescue their record at the minute, but they've gone ballsy, and I have to respect that.
Go big or go home. That's Croatia's
Exactly.
motto. And let's see where our score falls. So apparently it may not be that bad based on some of the comments, or maybe all over the map. Let's see. Roy, what are you giving Croatia?
It's funny to hear all of your comments, because like this is literally my 4th most streamed song of the year, and I just really love listening to it. It's very like repeatable for me, and you guys are like polar opposite, and I'm like, well, it's so funny. Yeah, this was definitely the choice for Croatia. I really enjoy it. I think it looks amazing. I think it will definitely have a lot of fans as well, and I gave it an 8.5.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's a lot of points. Philip.
Yeah, this song will definitely be qualifying. It's from the Serbian national final. It just won like by a mile, and it will definitely win, but not in my heart, sadly. This is a 2.5 for me.
Okay. I was going into this thinking, well, I'm going to be probably the kindest person to the song. I forgot that Roy and Sean are on this panel, so and I should have known that I was going to do the case, because I gave it 6
Where's
points.
James?
I know. I gave it 6 points. So it's, again, has plenty of flaws that I could talk over for 30 minutes, 2 hours, but 6 points. That's what I'm giving it. Sean.
I'm just so happy that Croatia went with this choice. I really didn't think that they would win the national final, even though it was clearly the best choice. You know, haters gonna hate. I'm sure you'll get to me on Twitter about that as well. But I'm just so happy it's here. I think it's genius. I think it really deserves more credit and respect than it's getting. I gave it 8.5.
Oh my! So there's a huge range here, 8.5 to 2.5 here. So I'm in the middle. So maybe that's where the score will end up, where I'm landing. Well, I'm right here to give you the score for Croatia, the Team United, not just the 4 of us, but everybody else as well. And we are at 4.71. So Sean and Roy, you have been significantly, dramatically overruled. So it's just to give you I mean, I don't have the scores exactly in front of me right now, individuals, but it was basically as polarizing as they come. There were like the two of you and maybe 1 or 2 more people gave it high scores, and then everybody else gave it low scores. So
I'm leaving the team. I'm leaving the team. I can't. This is a deal breaker.
So that's what it is, and therefore it, the overall score just means 34th out of 35 songs. And in all seriousness, I mean, Sean, did you think that you were did you know that you and Roy in this case were the outlier, and you expected this, or were you hoping?
Well, I knew that we'd love it, but knowing our team, I thought it might have a few more fans as well. So I am quite surprised that our team has given this such a low score. I'm disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I'll be having words, and that's all I can say at this moment.
Yeah. How about you, Roy?
I mean, in all seriousness, I understand, because it's a very jarring song at the same time. I can get how people just aren't enthused by it or just can't abide by it. I get that completely. But yeah, I thought we'd give it a bit higher.
Roy?
Yeah, I mean, most people hate this song, but again, tough luck. You can't vote against the song. The people who love it will probably vote for it anyway. And I mean, this score was to be expected. I knew I would be a bit of a more controversial ranking with this one. But hey, I still think Croatia has a good chance of qualifying, because it will definitely make people pick up the phone. And there's no jury, so they could not have picked a better year to send a song like this. And yeah. It's okay. I expected it to be low, to be honest. It's not a reflection of where it will end up.
Yeah. So let's see some of the comments. Poland is even better than Croatia. At least it has some melody. I think that Croatia has a melody. It's just not sitting in your day average comfort zone. It's a little different from what you used to, but it certainly has a melody. As a matter of fact, if there's anything, sometimes the melody is what the chorus is a little bit too repetitive, because the melody is almost too safe to me, like da 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 da, like over and over and over. So that is probably the biggest hang up for me, if anything. So, but yeah, I assume Sean, you disagree with that as well.
I'm really not a fan of Poland this year. I just think it's tacky, basic, not very well performed, all kinds of things like that. It's the opposite for me of what I feel about Croatia. I think a lot more thought and a bit of subtlety went into Croatia than, say, compared to Poland. But if you were going to pick two songs this year to compare, it wouldn't be Poland and Croatia. So kind of one of them. It's hard to compare them.
I'm actually I'm on the opinion that neither Poland nor Croatia deserve this low of a score, but I don't even have the bottom five, but the songs that I give the lowest scores, they're not doing as bad in this ranking anyways. So but yeah, I actually semi agree, or like half agree, because neither of the songs should be at the bottom, but that is just my personal opinion. But in the end, Team United still thinks that Croatia is a bottom five according to our ranking. But thanks to the likes of Roy and Sean, it at least didn't come in last place, right? So maybe you did your part. I know. Bullet dodged. So let me click on the next one. We got a couple of more to go here. Next up on my list, song number 36 is Israel. And it's not every day that we get a superstar like Noah Carell competing in the Eurovision Song Contest. It's definitely a big deal. Fans and critics alike have been eagerly anticipating her entry since she was first announced as the Israeli representative. And now that Unicorn has finally been released, the excitement is at an all-time high, of course. Now, with the singer's incredible vocal range and catchy pop beats, there's no doubt that she'll be the one to watch on the Eurovision stage. Lots of chat already, but as with any competition, the real question is whether or not she'll be able to outshine the other talented performers and bring home the trophy for Israel, or at a minimum, at least a good result. So let's dive into her entry and see if it got what it takes to win over audience across Europe and beyond. Philip, why don't you go first? Your thoughts on Unicorn?
I'm happy to do so because people can slaughter me now. I'm happy that she's here, and the best of luck to her, but maybe she should have gone with another song. It's bad. It's very, very, very bad, in my opinion. I feel like unicorn is kind of a funny word to use, but the start of the song is a bit promising. I kind of like the end of the chorus. It kind of builds up to something, but it feels like 5 different songs to me, and I kind of like one of them. So it's just a big mess for me. My sister played this song to me in the car recently, and it took me like 20 seconds to actually get what song it was because it's all over the place. And yeah, the whole phenomenal thing that she started singing, I'm sorry, it's straight up awful. It wants me to turn up the song every single time. I'm so sorry. She should have gone with a different song. I like her personality, but this just doesn't work for me.
Boy, do the fans in Israel love Noah Carell, don't they?
Yeah.
She could sing a phone book and that still scream like it's a second coming. It was just like, it's a very passionate group this time around. The song is nice. It's a good pop song, but it's like trying to be a musical melting pot of all genres, as you said, Philip. And it's more like a buffet where you end up on a plate and you have sushi, spaghetti, and burger on it. And then just like, what is this? And so I just wish she would have stuck with one lane and stayed in that musical lane for the song. The chorus is strong, by the way. Like the unicorn, that's probably the best part. And then the verse, they're just a little like disjointed. Like I don't get it. And once again, Philip, you took all my thoughts. You the phenomenal lyric. It just sounds like she's trying to solve a Rubik's cube with her tongue. That's always what I call this, because it's just like it's just like a tongue twister. And the song ends with a big instrumental, kind of like the musical equivalent of a firework, I guess, in the end, just like boom, 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 getting really loud. It reminds me of like this Matahari stuff, except instead of a colorful explosion, it's just a lot of sound to me. Lots of sound. So I call it a hot mess, but a lovable hot mess. Like, I don't know, like a puppy that chewed up your shoe. I don't know. But she is really the best piece about it. She's just a born superstar, and she demands your attention. It's hard not to love her, and I just get a lot of Junior Eurovision vibes from the song. A little bit of like Grease 2020 Supergirl, and it's probably I'm the wrong audience for it. But I can acknowledge it's a decent song. Just, it's just a little much. Sean.
I think I like this song. I can never be sure. It changes from day to day. It's one of those songs where, like, if I sit and listen to it, I go, yeah, this is enjoyable. There's some days where I just can't stand it. Just I don't know. It's jarring. As I've said, there's a few songs this year that have a lot of elements that are mashed together, like Finland and Croatia, for example, do it quite well. I don't think it's worked quite as well here. I think possibly she was selected very early, and then they had a lot of ideas to try and fit into a song, and they probably got near to the deadline and thought, we need to come up with something. So they've just jammed it all together. The song comes across a little bit self-indulgent for me, and it just, I don't know. A lot of it's going to depend on the staging. I think it could flop or it could do really well when it comes to the staging. But I don't know. I think I like it. I generally err towards liking it more than I don't. I hope, beyond all hope, that the lyrics don't actually mean some of the interpretations I've seen online. I'm going to pretend that it is just a female empowerment anthem and not something a little bit more sinister. But I obviously won't dwell on that.
That was my understanding.
I do like this song, but I just think that they could have executed it a little bit better. And I think given the amount of time they had, they probably should have done.
Okay, that's fair. Roy. Talk again, Sean. Start over.
The way Sean started is exactly how I feel about it. Like, one day I really like the song, or I like the song, and the other day I don't like the song. And looking at my score, I think I submitted my scores when I really like the song. Today, I don't know. It's just such a random lyric. I'm gonna stand here like a unicorn out on my own. But why a unicorn? It makes no sense. It doesn't exist. You stand there on. It makes no sense. And then they have 6 things they do. They start with an orchestra bit. Like, I started there, it's going to be a ballad. And then it started to be a pop song. And then it started to become kind of a catchy chorus, but standing like a unicorn is a bit weird. And then phenomenal. And you have a dance break. And you also have a cheerleader thing. Like, you, me, corn. And like, it's too much. It's too much. And I hate the fact that this is probably going to do decently well. I don't hate it. I want everyone to be at their best that they can be. But yeah, it's maybe not one of my favorites this year, but I gave it quite a decent score. So maybe past me was like, it's kind of catchy. And it is kind of catchy. Like, sometimes I am in my head like, gonna stand here like a unicorn, when I'm like waiting for a train or a bus or something. Yeah.
It's like we're all equally confused, it sounds like it. So let's see how it was hard to give this a score in my book, but let's try it anyways. Philip, what did you give it? Did we lose you again, Philip?
His sound is gone again.
Okay, I'll move on to myself then. I was next, I think. I will say I just got hit by the kitchen sink in the head too many times by that song, and it is a little bit, if I have to use the word, it is overproduced. I think they tried too many. Was that 2 points? Or was that, wait, I don't know what that was. Okay, he'll be back. But anyways, I gave it still 6 points. Okay, Sean.
I gave it 7, right?
Oh, okay.
And some days it is a 7. Well, most days it's a 7. That's probably what I would lean towards. However, there are some days when it's more like a 4.5 or a 5. It depends what mood I'm going to be in, but I would say on the whole, I like it 7.
Okay, Roy.
You see the words right out of my mouth again. Like, some days it's a 7, and like a 4.5 is also how I often feel. And I also gave it a 7, and I was like, wait, did I really? But yes, I did really. So 7 for me.
Okay. While he is gone, Philip, I'm going to bring up the list here right now. I just got to find Israel in our very smart list. Oh, he gave it 2.5.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, you cannot give a half finger, I guess.
Cut off the pinky.
I know. So, oh, he is back.
Awesome.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's
I had to bring it
amazing.
back. That's amazing.
That's
the little
just
victories.
amazing.
I already gave you then the score because
Okay.
I went to the list, so we have it. So I will go ahead now and bring up the score for Israel. This writing is so small here. There you go. Israel gets 5.61 from the team, 28th place overall out of 36 so far, and it's technically lower than what I gave it. And as the did you give it the most, Sean? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, joint most, I think. I don't know about the whole team.
Yeah, not the whole team, but the four of us.
Yeah, like I say, it depends what mood I'm in with this entry. So I can see 5.61 is kind of, it's a bit polarizing. Some people are going to hate it, some people are going to love it, some people are going to be indifferent or not sure how they feel about it. So I kind of get that. But I do think that when it comes to Eurovision, it has got better chances than a lot of the songs on that list just there, potentially. So it might resonate more with the general public. I don't know. It just a lot of it hinges on how it's staged, I think.
Yeah. No, you also raised a very, very important point here right now. This is number one, of course, our ranking, not our predictions. And I would strongly agree with you. I think Israel, even though they are not like super high in our ranking, they are in the tough semi. But I still feel like this has a really good shot at qualifying. I think it's just like kind of song that just is. Israel does a really good job also staging songs. For the most part, they have some boo-boos as well, but for the most part, more often than not, they really know how to put this together. And so I still consider this one a absolute contender.
I didn't throw quite a lot of budget to this as well, so
yeah,
pretty certain this will qualify.
Yeah, I think it's a qualifier. It's just I'm not sure how much further it's going to go after that.
I love this comment here. You guys are unbelievable. Reminds me of how you all hated Toy. Just saying. Well, first of all, Toy was one of my favorites last year. That year, it was like my top two in my top two. So I think you may want to rethink that. So it's okay. Sometimes you just don't care for a song, and I do think that it caters to a very specific taste, and I think a lot of people will gravitate towards it. But our team just not quite as much. Now, the only thing that I wanted to point out, I agree with the score, but I doubt they are behind Azerbaijan. So that, I guess, were they behind Azerbaijan our ranking?
I think so.
Oh, well, that is a big surprise. What are you thinking, Philip? I know you didn't care for Israel that much either. Are you surprised to see Azerbaijan ahead of Israel? And you're on mute again. We cannot hear you.
I think it's something of his internet connection because, like,
yeah,
next to his name it says that he doesn't have good connection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it up there.
Classic technical difficulties.
Yeah,
it happens to the best. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Then I'll ask you that question, Roy.
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
About Azerbaijan being higher than Israel in our ranking.
I mean, yeah. I also kind of started to remember why I gave it a 7 because I do think a lot of people will enjoy this song. So I tried to kind of put my own personal bias a bit more to the side with this one. So yeah, for me personally, I prefer Azerbaijan to Israel, but I can see why people are more surprised by it. But I also don't think Azerbaijan is that polarizing. I think everyone's just a bit like, yeah, it's all right, it's decent, and just like not many people giving it very low. So yeah.
And we can answer a few more questions at the end as well. I just want to get through the 37th, aka last song of the evening and the year for us to review. And it was complete coincidence that the last song to be revealed also being the last one on our list. But hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. You already know who I'm talking about. It's Georgia. And Georgia is no stranger to bringing unique and daring entries to the Eurovision stage. And this year, no exception. Eros echoes a powerful and emotional song that showcases her incredible vocal range and captivates the listener from the first note. Despite having a limited amount of time to create the song, the results, speak for themselves. It's clear that Eero and her team poured their hearts and souls into this effort, and they are determined to make a mark on the contest. Let's see if Echo can echo See what I did there? And throughout Europe and bring Georgia back to the finals after God knows how many years. So since we have once again lost not Roy, Philip. Roy, why don't you go first?
Yeah. Musically, I quite like this one, although it is a bit much. Like you immediately get hit with like, bam, this is the song we're producing, and then it goes on like that for the entire time. So I would have wanted a bit more of peaks and valleys here and there. The lyrics are also a bit weird. Like I had a lot of troubles trying to understand what exactly she's saying in the chorus, and there's this little bit of a piece in the song which says, "Life is love, thing is known, like in dreams," and I have no idea what she means with it. Um, it's quite funny, but she's a great vocalist, and I think that is really what matters, because there's a lot of people across Europe that also might not be as good at English either, and don't even notice that it isn't maybe as understandable or as weird as we might do, because we really dive into it. And when you hear it for the first time, you're probably going to be more wowed by her vocals rather than the lyrics bothering you a little bit. So while it is a little bit of a I don't think Georgia will struggle that insanely much, and I do think they have a decent shot at doing well, because she is an amazing vocalist, and I think that is the biggest selling point in this song.
Okay. Sean.
I just I try not to let it affect me too much with this, but I just can't move past the lyrics. They're just horrendous. They're just absolutely horrendous, and I don't know who signed it off. So surely someone in that team spoke English and could just clean it up a little bit. I just can't. I don't know. And then she came up with some kind of like sort of English exam answer about, oh, it's about the echo of my thoughts or something like that, and I don't buy that for a second either. But it is what it is. She's a very good performer. Obviously, she's going to sell this song well. I think they're going to throw money at the staging, so I think the staging is going to be good. The actual song itself is fine, passable. It's not something that I seek out and try and listen to actively. It just it came at a really sort of strange point, and it was just like, I don't know. Like, I know certain countries try and hype their song up by announcing them as late as they can, but it kind of felt like, this is also here, and I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. I wish them well, because Georgia does deserve a bit of success at Eurovision, because they've given us some great entries over the years, and they're not afraid to try different things, and I want them to be rewarded for that. But this song just feels very I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't think I can move past the lyrics enough to really let myself in with this song. That's the problem.
That's fair. Sometimes the lyrics are a big part of the song. So
if it was in Georgian, I'd probably like it more. But that's how it goes.
Could be. Philip, can you hear us?
Yeah. Am I listenable again?
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Let's give them a shot. So we're talking Georgia.
Yeah.
Yes, of Georgia.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I kind of got that from what you were saying. Yeah. She has a great voice. Don't get me wrong. And I like those strumming sounds in the background. They kind of go very hard. That's kind of good to jam to and that kind of stuff. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one who thinks that both reading those low note lyrics and understanding what she's saying while she sings is impossible. But she sings so well that I don't really focus on it that much. It kind of just feels like a song with no words to me. And that works for me. So it's kind of like an epic of a song with so much power, and she sings very well. And with proper lyrics that I would be able to understand, it could be a real contender for many, and myself.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I will not go into the lyrics. We went over it ad nauseum, and I agree with Sean. I think the best thing would have been if they would have performed it in the Georgian language, I think. But but I do like that the song has its own vibe and feel compared to some of the other entries. She has a great voice, as we all correctly pointed out. It has a lot of staging potential. The video is really pretty, so I'm sure they could do lots of wind machine effects with a pretty dress. Who knows? The song can get a bit shouty at times to me, like she yells at me for holding up the line, and I just get moving, right? But then it also just takes you on a journey at the same time. So I feel like there's always a pro offsetting the con that I have with the song. Like, it's its own genre. I love that, but it's also a bit repetitive at the same time. I could go on probably for hours. I still think it's overall a net gain in the song, and Echo deserves a decent amount of credit. And even though I would say it's a little bit all over the place, I can't help but root for Georgia this year. In the second semifinal, I'd like for them to go through. It's okay. The song, it's okay. I just think they needed more time and maybe more clear direction when they wrote the song. It feels like they were working really hard. We got something, and then lunch was delivered, and they stopped working on it. And it feels a bit incomplete. But it is fine. It is fine. So let's go for it. One last time. Our points. Roy, what did you give Echo?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point you made, actually, because I think she was announced quite late as the winner of The Voice Georgia. So, like, they didn't have that much time to write the song either. And maybe that's why.
Yeah, I talked to her
the
in
lyrics.
Barcelona about that, actually, how that all came about. And they were very stressed about it. But anyways, go ahead.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's still a decent song. While I wanted a bit more of peaks and valleys and lyrics, sure, they aren't the best, but I don't think it matters as much. So I still ended up giving it a 7 out of 10.
That's a good score.
Yeah.
I don't know about Sean. What did you give it?
I gave it 4.5. It sounds harsh. It probably will be one of the lower scores. I can appreciate some aspects of this, but even if I take the lyrics out of it, the song itself is just not really my thing. The structure's just not there for me, and it doesn't seem to make sense for what I want from a song. So it isn't going to click for me, I don't think. I wish them well, because I would like to see Georgia rewarded for their efforts. Thing is known, it is not a secret.
Yeah.
It
has been a really strange group for me today, because it was everyone besides Finland and UK, according to me. It was all just mid-tail, like 5 to 6 points, and that's exactly where Georgia falls from me as well. I'm giving Georgia 5.5. I forgot, Philip, actually. What is your score?
Yeah. I'll second what Roy just said. I'm very much in that kind of ballpark. She has such an amazing voice. It's a 6.5 for me.
Okay, so it wasn't that bad overall. Based on the comments, I was a little worried. But let's find out, where does Georgia end up in our ranking? Again, it's not just the 4 of us. There are plenty of other folks. And by the way, you can vote as well below. Go to the links, give you a score, and I will add that up. You only have about 24 hours left. I will post them also on social media. So, but no further ado, here is Georgia in our ranking. Team United. 6.83, 20th place overall, in the middle there. So significantly higher than what we gave it. So the team felt a little bit more optimistic about the song. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I kind of see that's a good place for Georgia. Sort of almost smack bang in the middle, really. It's going to have its fans. It's going to have people who just don't get it, a bit like me. Just at 0.01 behind Lithuania is quite funny as well. Like the fact that they just got pipped. So there's a lot of similar feelings potentially about the two songs, but it's going to have its fans. Yeah, I can see why it's such a mixed bag.
Yeah, what do you think, Philip?
Yeah, I feel like it's about right. It's kind of like how I wanted it to be. It's a bit more than what I gave it, but I feel like it's deserving. Yeah, they can do some really good stuff. They can do some really good stuff with it, reaching the semifinal. So we'll see about it, but it's an okay score.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Philip. You made a perfectly perfect statement, but I just saw one of the comments make me laugh. The song feels like a hairdryer. It's turned on full power right from the start. With like somebody, because it is just goes like da, 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 and I'm like, oh, yeah, and I love my metaphors and analogies, so I just I'm totally into that. So I can see totally where they are coming from. So yeah, that just made me giggle. So I think that's the last song. So I think most of you. Oh, I clicked on this. Why aren't you coming up? Okay, I'm gonna sing a song while my system is frozen. Okay, here we go. So to make it official for the Team United jury, our results. The winner is Finland with 9.13 for the first time ever. A song breaking through the 9-point mark. I still can't believe this happened. I don't think it'll ever happen again, or maybe it will. I don't know. Austria gets our silver medal with 8.34. Sweden right behind in third place. Bronze medal for Lorraine, 8.30. And then Slovenia, Australia also rounding up the top 5. And then round of applause to the remaining top 10 candidates: United Kingdom, Norway, France, Moldova, and Spain. We're going to go for the other songs real quick. Sean, your thoughts on the top 10?
I'm absolutely thrilled with the top 2 at least, because they're my 2 favorites this year. Personally, I am surprised Sweden wasn't higher. In all honesty, I think a lot of people probably think that I'm anti-Sweden or something, but I do really like Lorene's song. I just don't think it's the strongest this year. But I totally get why people are so enamored with it and the performance. It'd be interesting to see what they can do in Liverpool with that. I'm really pleased to see Slovenia and Australia so high as well, because I just love seeing alternative music in Eurovision get well represented, and I'm glad that the fandom seems to have really taken those to heart as well. Particularly Slovenia, I'm really pleased with how much support they have, and I hope that it's a really good year for them.
Okay,
but that's a solid. It's a solid top 10 in overall.
I think it's yeah. Philip, your thoughts?
Yeah. Personally, I would have had Sweden on top, but that's all right. Sweden, Finland, very great to have them in the top 3. And I love Australia being up there as well. Of course, I would have wanted to see, if people listen to the last live stream, Ukraine should be way up there. But that's okay. France is also weird not seeing in the top 5, but it looks all right. It looks all right. I think it's good.
And then real quick, Roy, your thoughts on the top 10?
I think if you said that this would be the top 5 that we will have at Eurovision 2023, I would sign it off. Like, this would be an incredible result for all of those countries, really. Personally expected Norway a bit higher, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought so too, actually. Yeah, but still great position, right? But
oh, definitely.
Making the top 10 is not an easy feat. Let's move on real quick to the 11th to 20th place. You can see Portugal just barely missing out in 11th place with 7.42, right behind Czechia. Malta at 13th place, Germany 14th. And then, as Philip already mentioned, Ukraine 15th place, Italy, Belgium, Serbia, Lithuania, and Georgia. In terms of my thoughts, I'm pleasantly surprised that Malta did much better, or significantly better, than a lot of the fan polls and betting odds and other lists would indicate. So our team certainly liked it. I would have loved to have a surprise top 10, but 7.32 is still a fantastic result. So I'm happy about that. And I hear what you're saying about Ukraine, Philip, but it's still a pleasant surprise. It is that high, because not as many people talk about Ukraine. The fact that it's still in the top half of our ranking should be still an encouraging thing. Any thoughts, Philip, on the rest of the 11th to 20th place?
Yeah, and the Ukraine thing was more hope than anything. I wouldn't expect it to be up there. I'm happy to see a little bit. It's weird seeing Italy all the way down there. It feels like a song that many people rate very highly, and it feels good all around. There's of course some ones I would have seen a little higher, but it feels good for me.
Okay, Sean, any other thoughts?
I mean, on a personal level, I'm surprised to see Portugal as high as it is, because it doesn't vibe with me. But that's just my personal opinion. Again, thrilled to see Malta and Germany both so high up as well. Other than that, I mean, this is where you start getting into the songs where they're a little bit more polarizing than the others, I suppose. High scores and low scores put you in the middle with the panel.
Okay. Yep. Then let's take a look quick at the, I don't know how to call them, lower tier, I guess, could say like the second half songs. Starting with Latvia, 21st place, Iceland, the Netherlands. Yeah, I fixed it. 6.60. Cyprus, Armenia, Estonia, Denmark, Azerbaijan, Israel, and Albania. Roy, your thoughts on those songs? Kind of expected, one that you thought would be lower or higher?
To be honest, if I look at this list and you would tell me, oh, this is going to be like towards the middle and the lower end, I think I would have believed you. Like, this pretty much makes sense to me. Maybe Armenia a little bit higher for me personally. But yeah, there's not really one that I'm like, yeah, this is really robbed out of any massive place higher than what it actually got at the moment. So pretty much agree with this batch.
I'm the biggest surprise to me personally, more the pleasant surprise is actually Azerbaijan, because I was already expecting a bottom 3 for the song based on comments and thoughts of the fact that it's like in the top 30. You may say, oh, that's not that great. And considering the semi 1, that's still more of a likely non-qualifier. If this would have been semi 2, maybe you would more talking about a qualification for Azerbaijan. So that was probably the biggest surprise to me. I thought Israel would be a little bit higher as well. But based on our comments, I guess our team just, kind of agrees with what we were saying. And then let's look at basically the bottom of the list. Greece, Ireland, Switzerland, San Marino, Romania, Croatia, and then Poland officially our last place by a hefty margin, almost an entire point.
Yeah.
I think, Sean, you mentioned earlier you were not the biggest fan of Poland. So your thoughts, you're a fan of Croatia, of course, but overall your thoughts on this list?
Yeah, I mean, Croatia should be higher in my personal opinion, but we already covered that earlier. I think Greece is being slept on a little bit as well. I think he can actually, he's not been to pre-parties, so I understand why people haven't seen that, but I've seen some performances from him and he can sing. So if they get that right with the staging, I think that's going to be a surprise in Liverpool. It's one of the songs I really feel this year could hit the radio charts. It just feels very contemporary, kind of bit like, is it Dermot Kennedy? I think his name is, like the Irish singer. It's a sound that's quite in, so I think it will do better. Ireland has more of a chance now in my head than it probably did previously. I still think it's not going to qualify, but if they get the stadium rock vibe right in Liverpool, and there's going to be a lot of Irish fans there as well, you never know. It might help. Other than that, I'm kind of in agreement. Switzerland's my last place this year. So I am kind of pleased, sounds harsh, but like that seems like a fair ranking to me as well.
Yeah. See, I was like, Switzerland probably one of the better ballots this year, so I would have had it significantly higher. In terms of this list, yeah, I agree with you though what you said on Greece for sure. I think this is definitely people sleeping on it a little. Ireland, you can make a case what you're saying if they were in the second time. I think in the first, it's just such an uphill climb. Although they've done it before, nobody thought they would qualify in 2018. With all the competition, and then they made it. So don't count your chicken until they hatch. Final thoughts from you, Roy, on this?
Yeah, I think Ireland deserved a bit more. I think it actually is qualifying. But I do get that it's like a lot under the radar, and it's a bit like it's a bit simple. And I know that in ESC United we tend to like a bit more of a complex song, and simple doesn't usually do that well in our rankings. So it kind of makes sense. I do want to say though, Romania and Croatia are absolutely robbed. Croatia definitely needed to be a bit higher. I know a lot of people are massively sleeping in Romania, but I personally really love that song. So unfortunate to see those in the bottom, but it is what it is, I guess. At least they're not lost.
Yeah, that is true. So we have, and you guys, if any of you guys have to leave, I understand. I'm just going to do like a few minutes of open Q&A because we didn't have that much time. So, but don't feel the need to stick around, but you're happy to be here. And as pointed out by our beloved moderator, don't forget you can vote too. You have 24 hours left. Vote using the links in the comment section of all 4 episodes. That is exactly right. Because I got to start working on that video. That's going to be a lot of work, but I'm looking forward to it. How did you guys predict the top 10 last year? We did a prediction, and you're asking me to remember all of that? Anyone remembers by heart our predictions?
I don't. I just remember that I nailed the televote top 2. I called it. That's all.
Yeah.
I think I was woeful on the rest, but
yeah. I think we had randomly the top 2 flipped around. At least the combined results. We did think that UK would pull off the win in the end, and Ukraine would just not get enough points from the jury. Of course, no one was anticipating that kind of televote result. You can't. So that's where I think it was. So we had UK first and Ukraine second, and then it flipped around. The rest don't ask me. There's so much going on. Spain was probably pretty high.
I think we had Sweden high as
Yeah,
well.
I think it was the third place Sweden. So we weren't that far off. It became more of there were discrepancy between team members. For instance, Roy had a feeling that France would flop, but then again, he also had a feeling that Italy would flop, and then one of them was right. And so some of it, you had them higher than lower. So it was an interesting mix overall. So,
and I did it with all the pain in my heart because I love the France song. But when I saw that lineup and when I saw the running order, I was just like, yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yes. So, what is the next topic coming up on the channel next? Well, I think the topic that's coming up on the channel next is this little thing called rehearsals. Now, keep in mind, the first and second round of rehearsals are closed to the press and anybody else. So all we get are little bits and pieces, little peeks here and there on some of the staging, but we will still have live streams to discuss it, show what we got to offer, and just gather as much information as humanly possible. Of course, the second week we'll have the actual dress rehearsals. The cool thing is, Roy, Sean, and myself, as well as those who are not here, Melanie and Gabe and Connor, we will all be in the press center at different times, all being accredited, and we're super excited, especially after last year when it was just me running around like a chicken with his head cut off. That was an experience. And Sean was the only one getting online accreditation on top of it, so it was just the two of us technically.
Yeah.
So, but I was so glad that we're there. So that is basically what will be next. This is a good question. I'm going to ask it. And it just moved. Okay, here we go. Who could surprise us with the staging for the rehearsals? Philip, who would be the one that you think could surprise us the most? Maybe a song that was not discussed, talked as much on the radar, but could really like, whoa. Like kind of what Moldova in 2018, that'll also be my favorite moments. You remember that, Sean? My number one. We all just like, whoa.
That was one of the best first rehearsals I've ever seen. It really was.
I know.
We thought it had gone wrong, and then it was just the slow realization as it went around the press center of like, oh, they're doing this. Wow, okay.
Wow, yeah, that was a cool moment.
Really
Could
was.
we have something like that potentially, Philip? Is there a song that you could be like, wow, that was the one I didn't see coming?
Yeah, I don't know if it's something we haven't talked about, but my feeling is that Iceland will have very great staging. I don't know why. It's a great song, but if they really can get it to work with I don't know if props will be the right way, but just make it as beautiful and as powerful as it is, it can really be a shocker.
How about you, Roy?
I think Romania is going to surprise a few people with the staging because they already said that they will they will completely revamp and rehaul and rethink everything they did in the national final. So I'm really curious to see what they come up with. And with a right team around him, I think Theodor Andrei can come up with a nice staging, and that could be one of the surprises, perhaps.
Yeah. Sean?
I mean, there's a lot of songs this year that we're anticipating the staging for various reasons. I mean, Sweden obviously is a big question mark at the minute. Austria could be literally anything as well. But I think if there's one country that I look at the list and I think it could really change things for them if they nail the staging, is Czechia or the Czech Republic, because I don't know what they're going to do there, but that song has still got so much impact, in my opinion, and I think it's got real potential that can be unlocked with the right staging. So hopefully they nail that and sort of bring it back up, because it was in the early conversations as a winner and it's sort of dropped off since then. So I'm hoping they can sort of save it at the last minute for them again and really pull it off, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to mention two real quick. One of them is Croatia. I'm just curious. We know we've seen the national final performance. I'm wondering if they're going to put something together that is more, for the lack of a better word, digestible for the average viewer that doesn't speak the language, and make it a little bit less like jarring. So I will have to wait and see. Yeah, I know you're shaking your head, Roy, but keep in mind.
I want more jarring, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I want the opposite. I want more bonkers.
I thought it was it was the thing that really put me off, that song. So that's why I couldn't stop watching it, because it's just like, it was too much. It was not clever enough either. So that's what I'm hoping. And then the other one, Philip, you may like to hear that. It's Denmark. because they said they're going to have completed with a different set. And Sean, you mentioned earlier, it's a little bit overlooked now by not just by Team United, by a lot of people. I think this has a really good shot going through, and this has also could be a really cool staging. So I'm really curious what they're going to come up with. So that is what I think. Let's see here. Do you know how you're going to cover the events? Will you be able to live stream? I really love the long hangout streams. Full rehearsals are amazing. So I guess it would be me to discuss it. So there is a little bit of still TBD kind of situation. Full transparency, I guess. So first of all, we all know the press center won't be open until the second week. So the first week, since we don't have any access, we will only be doing live streams from our hotel room, or like Airbnb, I guess, right? Or like wherever we're going to be at that point. I don't even know. So we will have all of that. We're going to have less access. So we're going to have, do a lot of like on the go kind of research as things are coming up, pictures and videos, but we will have the Hangout live streams for the entire 2 weeks. There's a big caveat this time around as well, and that is any live streaming from the press center is virtually impossible. The EBU has made a major change this year, and they're not allow any sound from the rehearsals to be on live stream. So if we just have the host talking, the interval act, or you put the songs aside, that is no longer allowed. So you can't really live stream from the press center. So we have to figure out exactly the logistics on that. And I did see, I'm not sure, I haven't checked today, but I sent my team last night a list of the alleged rehearsal schedule. Did you guys look at it at all? It seems legit, right?
Yeah, I think it seems the logical format for what they're going to do.
Yeah, because
the only thing I could think is that potentially the Big Five on the Saturday could potentially be on the Sunday. I don't know what time the opening ceremony is, but obviously that Saturday is the King's coronation. So if they're going to take a day off from rehearsals, I would have thought they would have made it that day, but I don't know.
Are those times Central European time?
Yes. Oh, yeah, wait, okay. I think so. I don't know.
11:30 seems quite late. Like, it would make more sense if it's 10:30. That's when they would start.
Usually put on that. I'm not sure 100%.
What you have to remember, though, is that the reason why they normally start so early is because they used to have individual press conferences for the artist. I don't think they're doing that this year. So basically, the only thing the artist has to do is rehearse. So that's why they can start a bit later, I suppose.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Could be wrong. Yeah, it's just a little different this time around. So we are still trying to get all of the deets on that. But the point is, yes, we may not be always in the press center for live streams, and it's going to be different. They don't want you to hear anything, certainly not see anything, but that has always been the case. So give us time to figure this all stuff out, because I won't be even there until that second week. Everyone is arriving at different times, so we shall see. But yeah, I think last year, it seems like all a blur now, but we didn't have any rehearsals on Sunday either, didn't we? I want to say. I don't think we did. We only had the red carpet that day.
Yeah, that's correct.
So,
that's correct.
So maybe
because we took the day off to walk around in Turin and just like do some sightseeing.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that now too. So maybe that's kind of. And the coronation's on Saturday, you said, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. There's a holiday. It's a national holiday on Monday the 1st, and then there's another one on Monday the 8th. So, but they'll carry on working through that, because that's not like not everyone on holiday, obviously.
That's also why the rehearsals the past couple of years we started on a Saturday. This time around, apparently we're only going to start on a Sunday, probably. That's why, right? Yeah. So that makes.
So I don't know how it's. The only thing that makes me think that potentially they won't do it on that day is that the BBC are going to be stretched, because obviously they've got the coronation, which will be, I'm guessing, on the BBC. There's all kinds of events going on. I think they might be too stretched to actually do the rehearsals on the same day as the coronation. They might need their staff back in London. I don't know.
True. I mean, they can plan a little bit.
It's going to be difficult.
The thing with Eurovision, at least it's more behind the scenes. There's not like they have to worry about broadcasting anything. It's mostly just people working in the. But yeah, it's still a lot of people. So we don't know. It's a unique situation. It's a unique situation. Then we'll find out together probably. Where does the team think Finland will finish with the juries? I mean, we all agree Finland will qualify from the semis, so then they'll have to face the juries.
Nice
Philip.
joke in that sentence.
What joke?
Finland, Finnish.
Oh, see, yeah, clever. Philip, based on your hunch right now, what position can Finland obtain with the juries?
I personally don't think that it will flop with the juries. I just don't think that it will be. It won't be. It would be like 10 to 12, maybe. I just don't see it being so gravitating. But it's gonna be like a 10th place, maybe an 8th, some 8 to 10, maybe in the finals, and then it's of course gonna pick up by the televoters, right around there.
Yeah. What do you think, Roy?
I actually think it's going to be a bit higher because this year there's a lot of televote songs, and like we have semifinals where all the votes come from the televote as well. So maybe it sifts out a few of the jury songs as well, and the competition is just a little bit less there than in other years, maybe. So I actually think it could be like around 5th, 6th, maybe something like that. And
Sean,
it's hard to tell. I think it's going to win the televote. So obviously, its success does depend on the juries. I can see it being top 5 with the juries, because I think people seem to think that the juries are the reincarnations of the juries from the 1970s or something like that. You know, people in suits who don't like anything that's remotely fun. That's obviously not true, because you know we have had good songs and fun songs do well with the juries. Like for example, I think Austria is going to do surprisingly well with the juries this year because of the message, and I think music industry professionals are going to go for the message in that song potentially. Might resonate with them. I would like to think Finland would be top 5. It's one of those songs that just is difficult to work out. There's been a lot of songs over the years where we think it's going to be a televote hit, and then it actually works out the other way. So it could be that it does better with the juries than the televote. We don't know yet, but it's hard to call. I hope it doesn't flop, but yeah, it's not going to win the juries, absolutely. It's just whether it can make top 5 or not. I think that's where it's been shit.
That's exactly the secret, or the secret ingredient, because in order to win Eurovision, Finland needs to end up at least around the 200-point mark, which is not an easy thing. Like Italy and Ukraine, both a couple of years, just made it past the 200-point mark, and then just got the big I mean, Ukraine, you can make a case, you know, the big points are different, but in normal years, I should say, you need to get, you can have a really upside down vote, sure. But I think realistically, you need to get at least 175 points or up from the juries in order to have a reasonable shot at winning. So that is the biggest hurdle for Finland. But I can see a universe, as you pointed out, Sean, that this could actually do a little better than we anticipate. I anticipate Nordic countries' juries will actually give this quite a good amount of points. And it'll be probably polarizing. Let's get a decent. That's what Finland needs to focus. I mean, not much they can do. They can do only their best. But if they get several juries, a bunch of juries throughout the continent to actually get it and be like, this is clever, this is cool. We give them high scores to offset the more conservative, not like politically, but just in musically folks, you know, who were like, this is last place, you know, and then they're going to get no points from juries. So there's going to be, I can see a lot of with the juries as well, because people will get it or not. Well, I agree. It is currently, to me, on paper at least, the one to beat in the televote. Even Sweden, I think, can at this point beat it. But Sweden could easily be number 2 and still win it all, you know, because the juries. But in terms of televote, that's what I'm thinking. Am I somewhat within a realm of reason?
Yeah. Okay. I think I saw someone asked who I think the top 2 in the televote is going to be, and I think it's Finland first, Sweden second.
That could be a universe. Austria.
Yeah.
Could there be
That's the only one I think that could gate crash is Austria, but it depends how it goes. It could flop. I don't know. It's a hard one to call.
Question here. I'm going to get that to you, Philip. Spain and Italy could still jury vote to Sweden. Spain and Italy could still jury votes to Sweden. Maybe I misread that.
I think that's meant to be Steel.
Steel. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Philip, do you think that Spain or Italy could win the jury vote, or let me add this level 2? I think we discussed it before. Could potentially win it all because of the discrepancy between televote and juries, like, kind of like what Duncan Lawrence did? Or do you think that's a stretch?
I feel like the jury votes are. I don't want to say safe, but I feel like Sweden is gonna take the jury vote, and I feel like Italy is gonna be up there as well. I have a hard time seeing Spain being that big of a jury getter. I feel like that's more of a televote kind of song. I might be wrong with that, but yeah, of course they might steal a bit from Sweden, but it's not enough. It's gonna be. I feel like Sweden is the jury favorite.
Interesting, because I had the feeling that Spain actually has a good shot doing really well with the juries, actually, just of the intricacy of the song, whether the catchiness is, the lack of catchiness that the song has maybe makes up, for the quality maybe that the juries would see. Italy, I'm actually see more underperforming with the juries this year. Just a hunch. Even as much as I like the song, I just have a feeling that could actually be the opposite. They may not do as well. How do you feel, Roy?
All right. What was the question?
Could Spain or Italy steal the jury votes from Sweden?
I'm thinking about France. I think France is one of those songs that's really getting slept on. I think that's one of those songs that will get a lot of votes from the juries because she's got an incredible vocal. And I don't know. I think a lot of people are more sleeping on France than Spain or Italy. Like, Italy will definitely get decent votes all around Europe. I think Spain is a bit more confined towards Southern European countries. I think the more you go to the north, the harder it'll be for people to get it. But yeah, I don't know if that will be the case. But I think France is probably the biggest contender for me with the juries.
Sean?
I think Spain is a really good shout for the juries. I don't know if it's when you say steal, it's kind of a hard one because obviously it's not like they're not similar songs, so you can't really steal votes from another song that's completely different. I think they'll both get well supported. I personally really don't get France this year, but I guess it's got a fan base. I don't know if the juries are going to go for it. I mean, I was just looking through the last couple of years of jury results, and there are some, sort of eyebrow-raising results. Like
they're rando, the juries.
Yeah, I mean, for example, even like sort of Soldi in 2019 did really well with the juries that possibly people didn't expect to happen.
Because of you, Austria 2018 winning with a pretty big number.
Yeah,
you didn't expect
I mean, there seems to be a type of song that they go for, but I don't know. I think that the criteria has changed over the years for what the juries actually look for as well. I don't think vocals are. I think they're important, but I don't think vocals, for example, are the be-all and end-all. They're being asked to consider the entire package. Yeah. So if the entire package is good, which it is with Finland, for example, if they follow the criteria right, then they should hopefully have more of a reflection on the results than previously.
Yeah. What Innevalak do you want to see at ESC United? I wanted to put up there because I was, a little bit out of the loop. I know they made some announcements, and I have no idea about any Innevalaks or opening acts or anything like that. Is there anything that you guys want to share?
That's already announced.
I've already, it's already announced. I covered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. Do you want to tell me what it is? I don't know who it is.
Well, if you're talking in the final, it's basically like a load of Ukrainian Eurovision artists, Sam Ryder, Kalash Orchestra are opening. I've seen rumors that there's one more act to be announced. I personally don't hope it's Paul McCartney, because I feel like that might be the angle they go with. But I don't know. I've seen rumors of Ed Sheeran, and I don't personally like Ed Sheeran, but he has said in the past that he does like Eurovision. So maybe they've managed to put something together in the budget to get like their big name artist to perform in the final. Rita Ora was a surprise in the semi-finals because you would have thought if she's in the semis, who have they got for the final? But I don't know. We'll see.
But then again, the same thing happened with Davina Michelle, who was like the hottest person in the Dutch scene, basically, and they had her in the semi-finals as well, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Hard to tell. Well, they had like the Italo disco thing like Benny Benassi and all that as well in the semi-finals, didn't they, in Italy? So yeah, it's not always.
And a TikTok in the final.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. One more question here. Who do you think is the fan favorite that could unexpectedly flop this year? Thinking about it, since you make a thinking face, Philip, I'm going to give it to you. Who do you think could be the fan favorite that could put unexpectedly flop this year?
It might be Slovenia, because I just don't see it hitting as hard as it does for us. It can't blend in a bit with all the other songs. But again, I don't know if it's that big of a fan favorite, but it clearly is to us as the jury. But yeah, if I had to say one, I probably think Slovenia could flop a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. Roy?
I actually think quite a few of the fan favorites will flop.
One, the most likely. Pick one.
The most likely to flop. It really depends on what you think is a flop. I think Spain will do a little less good than people expect, but I also think Czechia will not qualify. So one of those two, really, for me, then.
Okay, that's fair. You get two. Sean?
I think Austria, or Czechia, or Finland, or Spain, or
you can choose one.
One. I said one, and you're picking like half of the lineup.
This is the thing. I think there's a lot of acts that have got a lot of make or break potential. So I think that the one that immediately leaps out to me, if you want one name, is Austria, because that could just be, that could finish anywhere. I think it really could. But again, it hinges on the staging. But there's quite a few songs like that this year. I think the only one that's probably got a good result on lock, guaranteed, is Sweden.
I think so too, actually. So, I agree. I would have picked Austria as well, only because this could be the winner of the televote. It could be also just completely not qualified, just because it is a very different and difficult genre to put, to work on a stage. It's really great in the studio, but how does it come? Will it come across as something too silly for people, or will it really work and people get as hyped as here? So I think this has the chance of going all the way to the bottom. So that is certainly interesting. Certainly the betting odds only, though, make us believe that it's almost a foregone conclusion. But I think everyone on here
absolutely
that do not agree with that. I think it's going to be way more competitive than we believe.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for the juries, it would be even more wild, I think, on this one. But that's all the time we have for today. But keep in mind, we'll be back definitely next week, and we'll have Saturday first pre-rehearsal. I don't know who will be there. I will be there, and then I'll see who's available, of course. And then Sunday, we will have our first actual rehearsal day. Again, we only get information fed to us. We don't have the actual access to it, but we'll be giving you the news live as they're coming in. I have people working on it. Remind me real quick, Roy and Sean, when are you arriving in Liverpool? Or in wherever we're going to be, like for Eurovision? When do you get there, Roy?
I have booked my flights for the 4th of May. So that's the Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
4th of May. Okay. So you'll be there. So during the weekend, I'll be there a few days later. Sean, when do you get there?
Definitely by the 4th. I could go earlier. Because I've got an option to stay in Liverpool whenever I need to, really. So I could go on the 1st. I might potentially go on the 1st, but I don't know. I'll think about that. But I've got the time off essentially. So
okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can
just drive, so it's not a problem. It's great.
True.
I love it. Hosting in this thing is amazing.
Don't get used to it, because it doesn't happen all the time. Yeah. I am so I won't be there until like a little later, because I'm flying out. Mine's a little bit of a journey. I think my flight's on the 5th of May, which is the Friday, and I'll get there Saturday, because it's time difference. Red eye. So I'll get there on Saturday the 6th in Paris. So I will make my way up to Liverpool on the 7th, which is Sunday. So I'll get there in the evening on Sunday, probably. So, and then we'll be there in time for the dress rehearsals. But we're still going to have live streams all week next week as well. not next week, excuse me, the week after, and we'll have plenty of coverage. So even though it will be different, we're still here.
We'll make it fun.
We'll make it fun. We'll make it work. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining us, and I'll see you all soon. Bye. Wave, everybody.
Bye.